Chapter 220. Yes. Yiyu is going to the bloodthirsty sect to save his sister. Luo Tian and Junichen are going to avenge their clansmen. As their friend, I have to help them. Yi Jioga didn't mention the treasure map. Even though she was friends with Bai Songling and Wan Ziang, she didn't forget that they were from the imperial court. After all, Emperor Xianwu was also very ambitious about the treasure map. With Senior Yi Zi here, First Miss will definitely be able to kill the bloodthirsty sect ancestor and get the blood lotus. Bai Songling said and looked at the handsome man standing behind Yi Jioga. This great expert called Yi Zi had become a famous person in Shangjing recently. Countless people wanted to get to know him and ask about Master Yun's whereabouts. Unfortunately, this great expert came and went like a ghost. He had a strange personality and didn't care about people. Even people who were close to Yi Jioga didn't have a chance to talk to him. Zishang, who was standing behind Yi Jioga, didn't hear Bai Songling. His lazy look made it seem like he hadn't woken up yet. Big brother Bai, you flatter me. Yi Jioga smiled and changed the topic. Big brother Bai and big brother Wan. Do you want to come with us? We want to go too, but we don't have the time. Bai Songling had a regretful expression. Now that Dongfang Ke had just become the crown prince, there were many things he needed their help with. They couldn't go even if they wanted to. Since you two are in Shangjing, I will need you two to take care of my Yi mansion. Yi Jioga smiled. If it wasn't for Bai Songling and Wan Ziang, Elder He wouldn't have accepted the imperial plaque so easily. Don't be so polite with me. Bai Songling pretended to be unhappy. Ever since they returned to Shangjing, he realized that Yi Jioga's relationship with them had become distant. Although it was because they were serving different masters, it still made him feel bad. If he could, he wanted to follow Yi Jioga like Yi Yu and Luo Tian. Unfortunately, the Bai family had done him a great favor. His life belonged to the Bai family and Dongfang Quebec Wan Ziang was the same. Back then, when the Wan clan was wronged and their entire clan was killed, it was all thanks to the Bai clan that they were able to clear their name. They had to repay this debt of gratitude. Yi Jioga also knew that it was impossible for them to go, so he said, I have another matter that I would like to ask for your help with. Just tell us what you need. As long as we can do it, we will definitely help. Bai Songling said without hesitation. The two of you also know that the bloodthirsty sect is not easy to deal with, so please help me find out more about the Spiritualist Alliance. Yi Jioga didn't stand on ceremony with them. They had some connections in the Spiritualist Alliance. Don't worry, we will inform you as soon as we have news. Bai Songling and Wan Ziang talked with Yi Jioga for a while. Seeing that it was getting late, they got up at the same time and said, We still have work to do. Goodbye. Both of them were now promoted. Bai Songling was transferred to the Imperial Army as a commander, and Wan Ziang was promoted to the Minister of Justice. The two of them were extremely busy every day. Today, they finally managed to squeeze out some time to see Yi Jioga, so they had to leave after discussing some matters. I'll send you off. Yi Jioga stood up. It's just a few steps. There's no need to send me off. If you continue to be so polite, I won't come again, Bai Songling said jokingly. All right, let Elder He send you off. As an advanced spiritualist, Elder He could completely represent Yi Jioga. This way, please. Elder He came forward in time and personally sent the two of them off. The hall was empty in the blink of an eye. Yi Jio returned to his seat and picked up a teacup to moisten his throat. Just as he was about to speak to Zishang, he suddenly raised his hand and flicked a black-purple spirit light toward the roof. Who's there? Yi Jioga immediately looked up. He saw Yi Yu, Luo Tian, and Junichen fall from the roof beam like dumplings. What the hell are you doing? Yi Jioga put down his teacup and looked at Junichen with a puzzled expression. I don't want to run into that chatterbox Bai Songling, so I wanted to hide on the roof. Junichen looked at Zishang with some fear. Ever since he absorbed the drop of blood essence from the bloodthirsty patriarch, his cultivation had greatly improved. He thought he could give Yi Jioga a scare, but he didn't expect to be knocked down as soon as he touched the roof. This devilishly handsome man was indeed an expert. His accurate judgment was too terrifying. No wonder he could kill Xiong Yunhu, who was on a rampage. Boring, childish. Yi Joga instantly understood Junichen's intention to show off. TSK, a little brat is a little brat. He used to pretend to be arrogant and cold, but now he finally showed his true colors. Luo Tian had always been indulgent toward Junichen, so accompanying him was understandable. But Yi Yu wasn't a child anymore. How could he be as mischievous as Junichen? Yi Joga thought about this and asked Yi Yu. Junichen and Brother Bai are at odds, so it's normal that they don't want to see each other. Why don't you want to see them? It's not that I don't want to see them, but I don't want them to know about the treasure map. Yi Yu was also very direct. He and Yi Joga had the same idea. The treasure map had to be hidden from them. They know you have the treasure map? Yi Joga was a little surprised, but he understood after thinking about it. When Su Junqing and the Crown Prince worked together to destroy the Yi family, it only took a little speculation to understand what had happened. Yes, a lot of people have been asking about the treasure map recently. Miss, you must be careful. Yi was very worried. The treasure map was originally an extremely secretive matter, but now that it was exposed after the Crown Prince fell, the situation in Shangjing was very chaotic. It's useless to be careful. At this time, we have to take the initiative and try to collect the treasure map as soon as possible. This time, the Spiritualist Alliance is going to deal with the bloodthirsty ancestor. We have to take this opportunity to save your sister. Yi Joga said decisively. Okay. Yi Yu's spirit was lifted, and he nodded hard. He had been waiting for this moment for a long time. At this time, Junichen, who had been quietly listening on the side, suddenly asked Yi Joga, if there was a treasure map in front of you, how much would you pay to buy it? From what you said, do you have a treasure map? Yi Joga raised his eyebrows. The Bloodcloak tribe had always been low-key, and they didn't seem like people who would participate in this kind of thing. Yes, our tribe has a treasure map that has been passed down for generations. If you are willing to teach me beast language, I will give it to you. Junichen really wanted to learn beast language from Yi Joga. I can't teach you beast language. This is a bloodline ability passed down to me by my grandfather's ancestors. Yi Joga and Zishang had already rehearsed the lines, so he just needed to push it to his grandfather. Junichen frowned. If it was a bloodline ability, then there was nothing he could do. Thus he simply changed his condition. Chapter 221. Then give me 100 bottles of spirit beast pills to exchange. Junichen waved his hand domineeringly. He was calculating in his heart. The blood-clothed Miao tribe only had him, and Luo Tian left. Luo Tian had already sold himself to Yi Joga. The treasure map was useless to him. He might as well give it to Yi Joga. When she went treasure hunting, he and Luo Tian would go and help her. They could exchange the treasures for spirit beast pills. In short, the spirit beast pill was the greatest benefit. This is too troublesome. How about I give you the spirit beast pill recipe? You can refine as many as you want. Yi Joga was chased by Junichen for spirit beast pills every day. He was so annoyed that he wanted to give the recipe away to save trouble. I am not interested in refining pills. Junichen shook his head. He was sure of Yi Joga. Alright, 100 bottles it is, but I don't have time to refine now. I will give you 10 bottles first. I will give you the rest 15 days later. Yi Joga said helplessly. Also, don't forget the debt from buying the goo worms. Junichen added seriously. Even if I want to forget, I need a chance. Yi Joga was very unhappy. Cough cough. At this time, Luo Tian suddenly covered his mouth and coughed a few times, then pretended to say casually, if it is convenient, how about giving me this month's spirit beast pills? A monthly allowance of 1 bottle, such a good benefit, he could not lose it. Then can my monthly allowance be changed to spirit beast pills? Or can I buy a bottle from you? Yi Yu asked carefully. Recently, Black Overlord had been complaining to him every day, saying that Xiaohong could eat spirit beast pills with its master, but it had to eat poison with its master every day. It even had the thought of going on strike. Alright, I will give it all. Yi Joga felt that he really owed them. Thank you, Mississippi. Luo Tian smiled reservedly. Don't thank me too early. Yi Joga glared at Luo Tian, then said to Junichen, if you want to get spirit beast pills, you have to do something for me. What is it? Juni-chan looked at Yi Jyoga vigilantly. Don't mention it if it's too difficult. It's not difficult. It's just that the newly appointed crown prince, Dongfang Ke, still has remnants of the frost spider's king poison in his body. I would like to ask you to help him resolve it. Yi Jyoga felt that his request was not too excessive. If it weren't for her help, Juni-chan wouldn't have been able to obtain Ancestor Bloodthirsty's blood essence. Now that he was asked for a small favor, he probably wouldn't refuse. It's a piece of cake. I'll just make a trip there myself tonight. Juni-chan patted his chest in satisfaction. Yi Jyoga was stunned. He felt that there was something wrong with Juni-chan today. In the past, Juni-chan rarely had any expressions. Today, however, his expression was so rich that it was scary. It was as if all his emotions were displayed on his face. You've also noticed that young master is different. Juni-chan actually smiled at Yi Jyoga. Those little white teeth were really frightening. Are you possessed by something evil? Yi Jyoga asked suspiciously. Tui, you're the one who's possessed by something evil. Juni-chan glared at Yi Jyoga in dissatisfaction. Then he said proudly, after I refined the bloodthirsty old man's blood essence, my cultivation rose greatly. My soul became one. This is my true appearance. His appearance was really unlikable. Yi Jyoga couldn't help but look at Luo Tian. She had a feeling that Juni-chan's behavior wasn't that simple. Luo Tian avoided Yi Jyoga's gaze and didn't say anything, although he had already sold himself to Yi Jyoga. This was related to his young master's secret. He decided to remain silent. Seeing that, Yi Jyoga didn't ask any further. Instead, he mentioned another matter. Since we've already decided to go to Blood Cloud Peak to deal with Ancestor Bloodthirsty, then we have to start preparing everything. I'll be in charge of the elixirs. You guys are in charge of gathering information about Blood Cloud Peak and paying attention to the Spiritualist Alliance's movements. After Yi Jyoga finished speaking, he asked Luo Tian, you guys should be very familiar with Blood Cloud Peak. Is there anything that we need to pay attention to? We've already left Blood Cloud Peak for 3 years. These few years, Ancestor Bloodthirsty hasn't stopped exaggerating. As for the specific changes, we need to investigate further. Luo Tian said cautiously. Then we'll investigate while preparing. Yi Jyoga wasn't worried about this. After fighting with Lu Yunfei and the other evil cultivators, they more or less had some confidence. Currently, goo worms were the biggest weapon against Bloodthirsty sect. Thinking of this, Yi Jyoga turned to Juni-chan and said, you should cultivate more goo worms during this period of time, in case of emergencies. Do you think goo worms are cabbages that you can cultivate whenever you want? You need to have the capital first. Juni-chan rolled his eyes. He wanted to ask for spirit beast pills, but was stopped by Yi Jyoga. It's fine if you don't want to cultivate them. Then you can go take revenge yourself. Juni-chan's words were immediately stifled. He glared at Yi Jyoga hatefully. Luo Tian quickly smoothed things over. Eldest miss, don't worry. Young master knows what he's doing. He has been cultivating goo worms during this period of time. He's already harvested a batch. That's good. Yi Jyoga was still very confident in Luo Tian. Seeing that it was getting late, she stood up and said, if there's nothing else, let's disperse. Then I'll leave first. Yi was in a hurry to gather information about the Spiritualist Alliance. Luo Tian and Juni-chan also left. Their tasks were more important. Cultivating goo worms wasn't that easy. After Yi Jyoga sent them off, she went to the alchemy room to prepare to refine pills. She had just taken out the herbs to refine spirit beast pills when she suddenly heard Zishang say, there's something wrong with that kid Juni-chan. What's wrong? Yi Jyoga stopped what she was doing and looked up at Zishang. Juni-chan's cultivation of the human goo art is very dangerous. First, he places a part of his soul on the natal goo. During the process of the natal goo cultivating into a human form, the two will constantly be in contact. Although his cultivation increased after absorbing the bloodthirsty ancestor's blood essence, there's a problem with the compatibility. Don't you think he's too lively? Zishang asked. Now that you mention it, it's a little true. Yi Jyoga originally thought that Juni-chan had an outburst of a child's nature. She didn't expect that it was actually chi deviation. She immediately asked anxiously, Then what should we do now? Juni-chen was their secret weapon against the bloodthirsty ancestor. If anything went wrong, it would be troublesome. This is his cultivation. He can only endure it by himself, Zishang said indifferently. He had already done his best to remind Juni-chen. As for helping, he wasn't that kind. He's still so young. How can he endure it? Yi Jioga frowned worriedly. No matter how Juni-chen pretended to be mature, he was still just an 11-year-old child. Yi Jioga didn't think that he could endure it. Don't make dirty jokes. Zishang's face was stern. Damn you. What kind of situation is this? You're still making such boring jokes. Dirty jokes? She was even talking dirty jokes. Chapter 222. Zishang saw that Yi Jioga was about to turn hostile, so he cleverly changed the topic. If you really want to help him, why don't you try using the white bone flame to refine spirit beast pills? Are you kidding me? The white bone flame is ghost fire, and can only be used to refining pills. I don't want those goo insects to become ghost insects. Yi Jioga felt that Zishang was clearly causing trouble. These goo insects aren't spirit beasts. Maybe it's better to eating pills. Also, your bronze cauldron is different from other cauldrons. It can refine all kinds of heaven and earth elemental energy. Maybe it can refine some special pills. Why don't you give it a try? Zishang didn't look like he was joking. Yi Jioga pondered for a moment, and felt that Zishang's words made sense. Refining goo insects was originally a sinister technique. Maybe yin pills were more suitable. Let's try refining a few first. As a pill refiner, Yi Jioga didn't lack the fearless spirit to try. Other than the white bone flame, she also wanted to improve the spirit beast pill formula. Although the previous spirit beast pill contained a good amount of spiritual energy, it was very bitter, and was comparable to poison. Yi Jioga had eaten one before, and the nauseating feeling greatly reduced the absorption effect. She had always wanted to improve this point, and did a lot of research. She already had a plan in mind, and could test it today. Yi Jioga wanted to add vermilion fruit and nepenthes to the original spirit beast pill formula. The vermilion fruit tasted very sweet after refining, and was a child's favorite. When she refined the Peiyuan pill for Yi Rui, she specially spared some. It tasted very good and Yi Rui ate it happily. Later, she accidentally discovered that if a certain proportion of nepenthes was added to the vermilion fruit, the taste would become even more delicious and sweet. Yi Jioga took out the small bronze cauldron. Ever since the fat black rat fell asleep, the small bronze cauldron had changed a lot. After injecting spiritual energy, it was half the height of a person. Not only could it contain more herbs, but the refining speed was also faster, and the success rate was much higher. In the past, one furnace could only produce 20 spirit beast pills, but now it could produce 200. It was because of this magical tool that she dared to agree to Juni-chen's request. Otherwise, just refining spirit beast pills would exhaust her to death. Yi Jioga put the ingredients into the small bronze cauldron, and summoned the white bone flame to start refining. Although the soybean-sized white bone flame looked very small under the huge bronze cauldron, the power it could unleash was very strong. The herbs in the bronze cauldron quickly melted, and turned into a black liquid. Seeing that it was about time, Yi Jioga threw the vermilion fruit and nepenthes grass into the small bronze cauldron, according to the ratio of 1:5. The vermilion fruit and forget worries grass turned into a dark red liquid, perfectly fusing with the solution of the spirit beast pill, finally turning into red bean-sized pills. Yi Jioga made a hand seal to open the cauldron, and a refreshing fragrance assailed his nostrils. The green cauldron was filled with pills, and the color was as alluring as cherries. Why does this pill look like a candy? Zishang raised his eyebrows. This is exactly what I want, Yi Jioga said as he took out a pill and threw it into his mouth. He discovered that the spirit energy contained in this batch of spirit beast pills was even purer than before, without a trace of ghost chi or yin energy. What's going on? Yi Jioga was shocked. Could it be that this small bronze cauldron was so magical that it could even turn ghost chi into spirit energy? All things return to one. Ghost chi is also a type of heaven-earth yuan chi. If you use the white bone flame to refine pills, It will actually stimulate the pure spirit energy contained in the herbs. Zishang's head rested on top of Yi Zhuge's head as he looked at the cauldron of spirit beast pills. For some reason, he felt that he was starting to salivate. That makes sense. Yi Zhuge thoughtfully nodded her head. She picked up a spirit beast pill and was about to carefully feel it, but Zishang snatched it away and threw it into his mouth. If you want to eat, can't you take it yourself? Yi Zhuge harshly condemned Zishang's action of snatching food. It's more delicious to snatch it. Do you want a bite? Zishang held a spirit beast pill in his mouth and moved closer to Yi Zhuge's mouth. Disgusting. Yi Zhuge pushed Zishang's head away. She did not want to eat this evildoer's saliva. Zishang pressed the back of Yi Zhuge's head and forcefully invaded. He tyrannically pushed the pill into Yi Zhuge's mouth and tangled with her. This was a very, very sweet kiss. Especially after the spirit beast pill melted. It gathered into a dense spiritual energy that flowed down Yi Zhuge's throat and into her stomach. It was warm and comfortable. Her entire body relaxed. Her mood was calm and satisfied. She was even somewhat reluctant to end this kiss. In the end, Zishang took the initiative to stop. He did not tease Yi Zhuge like he usually did. Instead, he turned around and announced to the small bronze cauldron in a domineering manner. This cauldron of pills belongs to this sovereign. With that said, his sleeves grabbed towards the large bronze cauldron. A cauldron of 200 spirit beast pills flew into his sleeves in a line and disappeared. You took it away just because you said so. Did you even ask for my opinion? Yi Zhuge was unconvinced. She would not admit that she was venting her anger on Zishang, this guy who ran away after kissing her. Do you need this sovereign to emphasize again who you belong to? Zishang blinked his peach blossom eyes, as if saying, if you don't understand, this sovereign is more than happy to prove it to you. No need. Yi Zhuge glared at Zishang. She was very clear about the fact that she had long sold herself to Zishang. This pill is not bad. It's just that the name is too unpleasant. Zishang threw a pill into his mouth and said unhappily, calling it spirit beast pill is too insulting to this sovereign's demonic character. At the very least, it should be changed to something like limitless pill, overlord pill, or something like that. Forget it. I'm still counting on this pill to earn money. How would Yi Zhuge dare to come up with such an annoying name? Most importantly, heavenly spirit pill, overlord pill, and whatnot did not match the characteristics of this pill. Then let's call it heavenly dragon pill. Zishang decided. Heavenly dragon, your sister. Yi Zhuge rolled her eyes at Zishang. After thinking for a moment, she said, then let's call it cherry pill. These pills looked like small cherries and were worthy of the name cherry pill. Furthermore, she had eaten one just now and realized that it had the same effect of replenishing spiritual energy for humans, so there was no need to stick to the name spirit beast pill. All right, Zishang reluctantly agreed, and then threw another pill into his mouth and ate it with relish. Yi Zhuge could not help but raise her eyebrows. She did not expect that Zishang was such a demonic person who loved to eat candy. Perhaps in the future, she could use this point to make an issue out of it, such as threats and temptations. Yi Zhuge thought about all sorts of things in her heart, but her hands did not stop moving. Very quickly, she refined a new batch of spirit beast pills. This time, she did not wait for Zishang to snatch them, and quickly kept the spirit beast pills. Then, she began to carefully study the characteristics of this new pill. When she ate the first pill, she only felt that it was filled with spiritual energy. When she ate the second pill, she was disturbed by Zishang, and that feeling of ecstasy was too subjective. When she ate the third pill, Yi Zhuge finally realized that the characteristics of this new pill was actually to calm the mind. Chapter 223. Yi Zhuge looked at the cherry pill in disbelief. She ate 3 more in a row to confirm that the pill really had the effect of calming the nerves and gathering qi. Calming the nerves and gathering qi sounded simple, but it was a requirement that many spiritualists could not achieve. When a spiritualist advanced, they would either advance or fall back. The process was very dangerous, and very few could maintain a calm mind. Spiritualists who could afford it would buy some calming pills when they advanced. However, better calming pills required a lot of high-rank spirit herbs, and the refining process was very difficult, causing the price to be very high. There were very few spiritualists who could afford it. However, this cherry pill actually had the effect of calming the nerves and gathering qi. It was a little weak, but there was a lot of it. The materials to refine this batch of cherry pill were much cheaper than a calming pill. Refine it well, and you'll have a bright future. Zishang had to admit that Yi Jioge was very talented in alchemy. The cherry pill had spiritual power and could calm the nerves. It was good for him, let alone ordinary people and spirit beasts. Of course, the delicacy was also an indispensable factor. Do you think this cherry pill's effect of calming the nerves and gathering qi can help Junichen get through the break-in period? Yi Jioge was still worried about Junichen. Yes. Zishang nodded. Then let's go find him. Yi Jioge made a prompt decision, took the pills and left. Zishang naturally followed her. Junichen was still living in the place where he was originally arranged to raise the poisonous earth dragon goo. Luo Tian also stayed with him. The sun was high up in the sky, and the blazing sunlight shone on the ground. The courtyard was quiet, and only the sound of the poisonous dragons gnawing on their food could be heard. The spacious courtyard was filled with dustpans, which were filled with poisonous earth dragons that had advanced for the second time. The poisonous earth dragon, which used to be white and chubby, was now a bit more intelligent, and it ate the black fly grass ferociously. Yi Jioge and Zishang walked into the courtyard and were about to call someone. Suddenly, they heard a child's sharp laughter from inside the house. It was obviously Junichen's voice. What's going on? Yi Jioge was shocked and walked into the house. Deep inside the dilapidated house, it was gloomy and dark. With his back facing the door, Junichen squatted on the ground and kept drawing circles. From time to time, he would let out a strange and shrill laugh. The whole scene was indescribably strange. Luo Tian was lying in the doorway with a trace of blood at the corner of his mouth. His chest was not moving at all, as if he was already dead. Luo Tian. Yi Jioge's eyes narrowed. Just as he was about to rush in to check on Luo Tian, he was stopped by Zishang. Something's not right. Zishang frowned, and a solemn expression appeared on his handsome face. Isn't that obvious? Yi Jioge was anxious. How is this not right? This was simply eerie and terrifying. Zishang ignored Yi Jioge and flicked his finger at Junichen. Before the black spirit force could even touch Junichen, it was repelled by an invisible force. Then Junichen's figure suddenly disappeared. In the next moment, he actually pounced towards Yi Jioge like a ghost. Yi Jioge reacted very quickly, and a purple spirit light barrier appeared around him. Boom! The spiritual light barrier shattered into countless rays of light. Sharp nails appeared on Junichen's small hands. After breaking the spiritual light barrier, he directly stabbed towards Yi Jioge's chest. Yi Jioge's breath stagnated. She never thought that Junichen would kill her, but it was a bit too late to make a move now. Fortunately, Zishang was by her side to protect her. His well-defined palm pushed outwards, and the black and purple spirit force turned into a shield that blocked Junichen's attack. After Junichen failed, he immediately retreated and wanted to escape. Zishang lightly clenched his fist, and the black and purple shield suddenly exploded, turning into a giant net that enveloped Junichen. Aoelo! Junichen let out a beast-like howl and kept struggling in the giant net. Yi Jioge calmed down and looked carefully. Only then did he realize that Junichen's eyes were blood red, and his small face was very frightening. The strangest thing was that between his eyebrows, there was actually a blood pouch the size of a thumb that looked like a heart. He's being controlled by the bloodthirsty ancestor. Zishang immediately understood when he saw Junichen's eyebrows. The bloodthirsty ancestor was indeed shrewd and ruthless. He actually hid a move in that drop of blood essence. Junichen seemed to have successfully refined the bloodthirsty ancestor's blood essence, but in his weakened state, he was fiercely attacked by the bloodthirsty ancestor, which was why he suddenly lost his mind and attacked Yi Jioge. Yi Jioge opened his spiritual eye and looked carefully at the blood pouch. He realized that it extended out many thin bloodlines that enveloped Junichen's head, and the only weak point was at the Dazui acupuncture point. Yi Joga decisively took out the lightning fire needle, and after injecting spiritual energy, he pierced it towards Junichen's Dazui acupuncture point. The blood pouch was blocked, and the blood in Junichen's eyes faded, and his body immediately went limp. Yi Joga did not go up to look at him, but hurriedly went to check on Luo Tian. Luckily, Luo Tian was only seriously injured and unconscious, and his life was not in danger. Otherwise, if Junichin woke up and realized that he had killed Luo Tian, he would probably immediately collapse. Gee! An even weaker sound came from Luo Tian's neck. Yi Joga took a look, and saw that half of Xiao Hong's body was broken, and it was on the verge of death, but it was still continuously shouting, "Save my master. Your master is fine, and you will be fine too." As Yi Joga said that, he crushed a cherry and sprinkled it on Xiao Hong's broken body. Goo worms did not need to be consumed orally, and it had the same effect when used externally. Xiao Hong, who was about to lose consciousness from the pain, smelled a sweet smell, and it quickly fell into a blissful sleep. Yi Joga also stuffed a few cultivation recovery pills into Luo Tian's mouth, and then went to check on Junichin. Junichin's body was curled up on the ground, and there was a blood-red bulge on his forehead, as if he had grown a horn. The veins at the corner of his eyes were exposed, and his entire face was extremely terrifying. Even the lightning fire needle, that was pierced into his Dazui acupuncture point, seemed to be unable to suppress it anymore. In this situation, the only way was to extract the drop of blood essence that belonged to the bloodthirsty ancestor. However, this drop of blood essence was extremely cunning, and it would probably escape once it was extracted. "Can you seal the drop of blood essence from the bloodthirsty ancestor?" Yi Joga asked Zishang. "No, I can only destroy it." Zishang shook his head. He was only good at destruction, not sealing. Destroying it would be a pity. Yi Joga was a little hesitant, and decided to wake Junichin up first. The lightning fire needle controlled the situation at the Dazui acupuncture point, and Yi Joga took out another 49 golden needles, and inserted them into Junichin's body, completely suppressing the drop of blood essence from the bloodthirsty ancestor. The blood bump on Junichin's forehead slowly softened, as if it had disappeared. Then, he slowly opened his eyes, and looked at Yi Joga and Zishang blankly at first. Then he seemed to react, and quickly turned to look at the place where Luo Tian had fallen. "He's fine, but you almost lost your life." Yi Joga's tone was a little unfriendly. If this little guy had asked her for help earlier, he would not have fallen into such a dangerous situation today. Chapter 224. I didn't think the bloodthirsty ancestor would have such a trick up his sleeve. Junichin returned to his expressionless face. "Then what do you plan to do? It's dangerous to keep this drop of blood. You might die." Yi Joga felt that if he didn't exaggerate the truth, this brat wouldn't know how to write the word fear. "Refine it." Junichin was resolute without hesitation. He shouldered the blood feud of his clansmen. He had to become stronger at all costs. Even if it was a narrow escape, he had to charge forward. Yi Joga saw him like this, and couldn't say anything else to persuade him. She looked at Zishang for help and asked, "Is there any way to help him? This is a battle between him and the bloodthirsty ancestor." Zishang's expression was indifferent. If he couldn't even refine this drop of blood, how could he talk about revenge? "That's right. This is my hurdle. I can overcome it myself." Junichin stood up and pulled the thunderfire needle from behind his neck. The other golden needles fell to the ground. Yi Joga made a hand seal, and took back the thunderfire needles and golden needles. Then he took out the cherry pill that he had just refined and said to Junichin, "This is my new spirit beast pill. I hope it can help you." "Why is it red?" Junichin opened the bottle, and looked at Yi Joga in confusion. "This is a modified formula. I guarantee you'll be satisfied." Yi Joga didn't explain. Only those who had tasted it would know. Junichin ate one doubtfully. Then, his eyes widened in disbelief. "See, it calms the nerves and gathers qi." Yi Joga was slightly proud. It seemed that Junichin knew his stuff. Junichin didn't hear what Yi Joga said. He poured a bottle into his mouth and swallowed it without chewing. The drop of blood also felt something was wrong. It split into two, and turned into two blood-red tentacles that emerged from Junichen's forehead. Junichin sat down cross-legged. His abdomen began to bulge. A golden red light shot out from his abdomen and headed straight for the two blood-red tentacles. The two blood-red antennae shrank back and split into two as they began to flee in different directions. The golden red light chased after the one on the left and swallowed it in no time. The blood-red tentacle on the right suddenly burst forth, breaking through the skin on Junichin's neck and flying out. Junichin calmly opened his mouth, and the golden natal goo flew out aggressively. It opened its mouth wide and swallowed the escaping blood essence in one gulp. Junichin's vital goo had already undergone a huge transformation. His head had completely evolved into a human head, and his face, which resembled Junichin's, was filled with a triumphant expression. Apart from its head, it had even evolved to have two thin arms, and below that was its insect body. It flew back to Junichin's head and laid there shouting, "Do you have any more of those cherry pills? Give me another stack." Junichin silently raised his hand and poured two cherry pills into his mouth. The natal goo screeched and turned into a beam of golden light, entering Junichin's mouth. "Did you succeed?" Yi Juga asked. Junichin nodded silently, then took out a red cloth bag from his bosom and threw it towards Yi Juga. He was actually extremely grateful for Yi Juga's help, but his awkward personality prevented him from saying any words of thanks, so he could only express it with his actions. Zishang grabbed the cloth bag and opened it. It turned out to be half a treasure map. "Brat, at least you know what's good for you." Yi Juga unceremoniously put away the treasure map. "I still need to consolidate my cultivation. I'll leave Luo Tian to you." Junichin was even more impolite than Yi Juga. After throwing Luo Tian to Yi Juga, he prepared to return to his room to continue cultivating. "Wait, have you finished helping me with Dongfang K's matter?" Yi Juga called out to him. "Dongfang K's poison has been completely removed," Junichin said without turning his head, then entered the room and closed the door. Yi Juga couldn't just leave him like that, so he could only helplessly stand guard at the door. "Sit here." Zishang waved his hand, and two chairs appeared in front of them. Yi Juga and Zishang sat side by side, then asked, "What do you think Bloodthirsty Ancestor will do after he receives the news that we're going to attack Blood Cloud Peak with great fanfare?" Zishang pondered for a moment, then said, "He'll probably think about how to use this opportunity to eat more people. He's treating us like vegetables." Yi Juga didn't believe that Bloodthirsty Ancestor was that strong. If he was really that strong, he would have ascended to the heavens long ago. Why would he stay in Blood Cloud Peak? "If it's me, that's what I'll do," Zishang said matter-of-factly. "I'm not asking you. I'm asking Bloodthirsty Ancestor." Yi Juga was speechless. "I'm not Bloodthirsty Ancestor. If you want to know, go ask him yourself." Zishang refused to answer Yi Juga's stupid question. Blood Cloud Peak Blood Pool. Bloodthirsty Ancestor was currently cultivating in the large blood pool in the center. Lu Yunfei and Old Man Su's bodies were soaking in two small blood pools beside him. At this time, more than half of their bodies had dissolved, leaving only two heads floating above the blood pool. The scene was extremely terrifying. Soon, the two heads dissolved as well, turning into two extremely thick bloody lights that gathered at the center of Bloodthirsty Ancestor's body. These two bloody lights were the most critical moment of his cultivation method. Bloodthirsty Ancestor calmed his mind and prepared to fuse with them. However, at this moment his heart suddenly shrank, and the meridians in his body froze. As soon as the two bloody lights entered, the rest immediately disappeared. Damn it! Bloodthirsty Ancestor's cultivation failed, so he went crazy with anger. The blood pool bubbled like boiling water. He had never thought that at the critical moment of his cultivation, that drop of lifeblood essence would be completely absorbed by someone else. Even the contingency he had left behind was eliminated. Skinny Monkey was guarding outside. Hearing the Ancestor's rage inside, he was shocked. He had been guarding Bloodthirsty Ancestor for so many years, but he had never seen the old man make a mistake during his cultivation. "Ancestor, what's wrong?" Skinny Monkey didn't dare to rush in, so he could only shout anxiously from outside. "I'm fine. Bloodthirsty ancestor's chest throbbed violently, but he quickly suppressed this emotion. Bloodthirsty sect wasn't a solid piece of iron. His disciples were all jackals and wolves. He couldn't afford to make any mistakes. He couldn't let them know that he had made a mistake during his cultivation. Bloodthirsty ancestor couldn't help but think of the plan he had been planning for a long time. He thought that if he sent Lu Yunfei and Xiong Yunhu out, he would definitely be able to get Dongfang Yao back for him to use as a blood guide. He didn't think that his plan would fail miserably and cause him to lose a lifeblood essence. Although Su Junqing had brought Lu Yunfei and his grandfathers, it couldn't make up for his loss. Chapter 225. If Ancestor Bloodthirsty wasn't worried that killing Su Junqing would affect the morale of his disciples, he would have killed the kid to train as well. However, it was a critical time to fight against the spiritualists. He not only had to keep the kid under control, but he also had to give him some rewards to let his subordinates know that as long as they worked well for him, there would be many benefits. Ancestor Bloodthirsty quickly made up his mind. He stood up and left the blood pond, calling for Skinny Monkey. "Ancestor, what are your orders?" Skinny Monkey bowed and asked politely. "Su Junqing did a good job this time. Bring out blood slave number 13, and give it to him." Ancestor Bloodthirsty took out a red flower-shaped seal, and threw it to Skinny Monkey. Skinny Monkey's heart jumped when he caught the seal. Blood slave number 13 was Yi Yunji. Su Junqing had sent Yi Yunji to the ancestor to please him. Now the ancestor gave Yi Yunji to Su Junqing. What did he mean? What? Is there a problem? The ancestor looked at the silent Skinny Monkey with a trace of doubt in his voice. Skinny Monkey immediately came back to his senses and said, "I just can't remember who blood slave number 13 is. The one with the red mole between her eyebrows." Ancestor Bloodthirsty remembered clearly. "Oh, it's her." Skinny Monkey suddenly understood, and then showed a wretched and regretful expression. "My brothers thought that the blood slave would definitely go to the blood cave. I'm going to be disappointed." "What's there to be disappointed about? Send my message. After we resist the Spiritualist Alliance's attack, they can use my blood slaves as they wish," Ancestor Bloodthirsty said generously. "Thank you, Ancestor." Skinny Monkey was overjoyed, and immediately flattered him again. "Old Ancestor is mighty. With you here, we will definitely defeat those rookies from the Spiritualist Alliance, and give our bloodsucking sect more blood resources." "All right, stop flattering me. Go and do your work." Ancestor Bloodthirsty waved his hand impatiently. "Yes, yes, yes." Skinny Monkey immediately bowed and left. He didn't dare to delay, and immediately took the seal to the 100-Flower Palace. Yi Yunji was secretly cultivating. Hearing Skinny Monkey call for her, her heart jumped. Ancestor Bloodthirsty should be cultivating right now. He shouldn't be looking for a blood slave to serve him. Did something happen? She was anxious and her face showed a bit of worry. Seeing Skinny Monkey, she asked nervously, "Brother Skinny Monkey, what happened?" "The old ancestor wants to give you to Su Junqing," the Skinny Monkey said in a deep voice. "To who?" Yi Yunji thought she had heard him wrong. "Su Junqing." Skinny Monkey emphasized. "Why is he here?" Yi Yunji felt a chill rising from the soles of her feet, making her whole body feel cold. But at the same time, a ball of fire was lit in her heart, burning her to the point that she had to breathe heavily to avoid suffocating to death. Skinny Monkey Man knew the grudge between Yi Yunji and Su Junqing. He could understand her pain, so he told him how Su Junqing had brought his grandfather to bloodthirsty progenitor. To even his own grandpa, Su. Crazy as, Skinny God Skinny sighed. Although he wasn't a good person, and had harmed many people for the sake of cultivation, at least he wouldn't do anything to his family. He would also do his best to protect the people he wanted to protect. Su Junqing, Yi Yunji murmured. She wanted to bite the name and swallow it with her blood. Su Junqing, Yi Yunji muttered to herself. It was as if she wanted to crush the name and swallow it with her blood. Su Junqing, Yi Yunji murmured. She seemed to want to bite the name and swallow it with her blood. Don't do anything stupid. Skinny Monkey was worried that Yi Yunji would do something wrong. You don't have to worry too much. You are a gift from the patriarch. Su Junqing would never dare to kill you, Skinny Monkey said softly. I would rather he killed me. Yi Yunji's voice sounded like she was weeping blood. Tears flowed down her fair and beautiful face. Her tears were sincere, but most of them were for Skinny Monkey. The skinny monkey-like man was distressed. He quickly comforted Yi Yunji. I know you're upset. But don't worry, Su Junqing won't live for long. After we defeat the Spiritualist Alliance, the ancestor will not spare him. Skinny Monkey had served Ancestor Bloodthirsty for many years. He knew what Ancestor Bloodthirsty was thinking. He knew that Ancestor Bloodthirsty would not tolerate a failure like Su Junqing. I hope I can live until then. Yi Yunji wiped her tears and took out something from her pouch. She gave it to Skinny Monkey and said, Brother Skinny Monkey, thank you for taking care of me. I don't have anything to thank you, so take this as a memento. Skinny Monkey took it and saw that it was a small wooden carving. The carving was of a lively monkey. I will save you from here. Skinny Monkey held the monkey carving in his hand and said to Yi Yunji, as if he was making a vow. Yi Yunji just smiled. There was a bit of helplessness and a bit of gratitude in her eyes. Let's go. Skinny Monkey suppressed his excitement and walked toward Su Junqing's room. Yi Yunji followed him silently. Soon, the two of them arrived in front of a dilapidated room. They knocked on the wooden door above. Who is it? Su Junqing's voice came. Brother Su, it's me, Skinny Monkey. Skinny Monkey's attitude was familiar, and his voice was normal. Su Junqing hurried to open the door and greeted him enthusiastically. Oh, it's Brother Skinny Monkey. What brings you here? Then he glanced behind Skinny Monkey and saw a blood slave with a slender body. Her head was lowered, and her long black hair hung on both sides. He couldn't see her face clearly. This blood slave number 13 is a gift from Ancestor Bloodthirsty. Skinny Monkey took out the red seal Ancestor Bloodthirsty had given him and pretended to be envious. Kid, you're the favorite of Ancestor Bloodthirsty. When you get rich, don't forget to mention your brother. Don't say that, Brother Skinny Monkey. I need to rely on you in the future, Su Junqing said modestly. All right, don't stand on ceremony with me. Take this seal, drip a drop of blood on it, and then stamp it on this blood slave's body. She's yours now. This is a reward from the ancestor himself. You better enjoy it, kid. Skinny Monkey suppressed his heartache and pretended to be happy. He handed the seal to Su Junqing and said goodbye to him after a round of flattery. Take care, Brother Skinny Monkey. After Su Junqing saw Skinny Monkey off, he took the red seal and looked at the blood slave the ancestor Bloodthirsty had given him. Although he couldn't see her face because her head was lowered, he could see that her body wasn't bad. Moreover, she was full of blood and flesh. Su Junqing knew that Ancestor Bloodthirsty only sucked blood and never had sex. These blood slaves were still very clean. Raise your head. Let me look at you. Su Junqing's voice was gentle like a lover's murmur. Chapter 226. Su Junqing had his own plans. This blood slave had served the bloodthirsty progenitor for a long time, so she should know something. He had just arrived at Blood Cloud Peak and needed someone to provide information. This blood slave was a good choice. The blood slave slowly raised her head. Her cloud-like hair fluttered along with her movements and fell on her cheeks, revealing a beautiful face. The red mole between her eyebrows was as dazzling as cinnabar under the candlelight. Yin Yunji. Su Junqing's eyes widened as he looked at Yi Yunji in disbelief. Why wasn't she dead yet? Sir Su, long time no see. Yi Yunji's resentful voice sounded in the room, as if it was calling from hell. Yunji, are you alright? Su Junqing reacted quickly and showed a complicated expression of awkwardness, melancholy, worry, guilt, and other emotions. Thanks to Sir Su, I'm still alive, Yi Yunji said word by word. I know you must be blaming me. Su Junqing heaved a long sigh, but he was desperately trying to think of an excuse to fool Yi Yunji. He really didn't think that Yi Yunji was still alive, and that the bloodthirsty progenitor had given her to him. Could it be that the old ancestor was warning him? You destroyed me and my family. Shouldn't I blame you? Yi Yunji's eyes burned with deep hatred. If it weren't for the fact that the spirit energy she had was not Su Junqing's match, she really wanted to rush up and die with him. Yunji, I know you hate me, but I have my own difficulties. Su Junqing wanted to say something but stopped. He sighed painfully and said helplessly, "You've been in bloodthirsty sect for a long time, so you should understand my situation. I'm just a dog in bloodthirsty sect. I have to obey the progenitor's orders." "You mean that the progenitor forced you to do all those dirty things?" Yi Yunji sneered. "The progenitor wants the treasure map. Your Yi family is guilty of possessing it. If it were someone else in bloodthirsty sect, your entire family would be captured and used as fertilizer. Yi wouldn't be able to escape." Su Juanqing's words were very skillful. He did not try to absolve himself, but this comparison showed that he had been lenient towards the Yi family. At least she and Yi were still alive. "In that case, I should thank you." Yi Yunji was no longer the innocent girl from before. Of course, she wouldn't believe Su Juanqing's nonsense. "I know you resent me, and I have nothing to say. Since old ancestor has returned you to me, I will definitely treat you well in the future and make up for my mistakes." Su Juanqing's handsome face was filled with gentleness and determination to make up for his mistakes. "Haha. Do you really think that ancestor gave me to you to reward you?" Yi Yunji laughed sarcastically, then said with a malicious tone, "Actually, he just wants to stabilize the morale of the army. After this incident, you will die without a doubt." Su Juanqing's pupil shrank as he asked, "What do you mean?" "You know forefather Bloodthirsty's temper very well. He doesn't accept losers." Yi Yunji looked at Su Juanqing's pale face and felt really good. "The failure of the Alchemy City plan has nothing to do with me. It's all because Yi Jioga is too cunning. For the forefather's grand plan, I even offered my own grandfather to him." Su Junqing angrily said, "What's the point of saying that to me? I'm not the forefather." Yi Yunji leisurely said. Su Juanqing's face was ashen. He knew that Yi Yunji was telling the truth. The forefather was an eccentric person and hated losers the most. Especially since the Alchemy City plan was related to his advancement, he couldn't afford to make any mistakes. Lu Yunfei and Xiong Yunhu were both dead, and he was the only one left alive. Su Junqing originally wanted to take Lu Yunfei's corpse and escape, but his bewitching art had reached a critical point. He had to come back for the next merit law. After thinking about it, Su Junqing finally came up with a way to use the old man as an apology. The bloodthirsty ancestor praised him for his filial piety. Although the forefather didn't punish him for his negligence, he didn't give him the bewitching art either. Su Junqing already had a bad feeling in his heart, but Yi Yunji's words frightened him even more. "Yunji, you have to help me this time." Su Junqing pinched Yi Yunji's shoulder, his eyes flashing red. This was the sign of the bewitching art activating. Yi Yunji stared into Su Juanqing's eyes and began to feel dizzy. This familiar feeling immediately told her that Su Junqing was using the bewitching art on her again. The bewitching art had a lot to do with the fact that she was so hell-bent on following this heartless man. She had been thinking about revenge day and night, so how could she not be on guard against Su Juanqing's move? Yi Yunji clenched her fists hidden in her sleeves. Her red fingernails smeared with heart-devouring powder pierced her palm. The unique pain of the heart-devouring powder immediately pulled her back to reality. Yi Yunji was clear-headed, but she still had a confused expression on her face. She answered Su Juanqing's question in a daze. "The forefather's cultivation failed. The blood lotus is about to mature. The spiritualist alliance is waiting for an opportunity, and the bloodthirsty sect is wavering." Su Junqing listened to the good news coming out of Yi Yunji's mouth, and his face revealed a crazy expression. In this way, not only could he take advantage of the alliance's attack on the bloodthirsty sect to get the complete bewitching art, but he could also get more benefits. Furthermore, he could obtain more benefits, such as the precious blood lotus flower. Yi Yunji looked at Su Juanqing's undisguised greed with hazy eyes, and her red lips curved imperceptibly. "Su Junqing, I will definitely return the pain I've suffered to you 1,000 times over." Blood Cloud Peak was surging, but Shang Jing was very calm. After Yi Jioga finished protecting Junichen, he left a bottle of essence cultivating pills and cherry pills for the awakened Luo Tian, and then returned with Zi Shang. As soon as he entered the gate, he heard buzzing sounds. A black and mighty fat insect flapped its wings and flew towards Yi Jioga, and complained discontentedly. "Where have you been, Master? And I have been waiting for you for a long time." The feeling of being questioned by a goo insect was too fresh, so Yi Jioga replied very seriously. "I went to see Juni-chen. He had some problems with his cultivation." Oh, Black Overlord obviously did not care about the goo father that raised him, and instead surrounded Yi Jioga and shouted, "Where is my master's reward? Quickly give it to me." Since when could goo insects help their master get rewarded? Yi Jioga felt that these goo insects were becoming more and more temperamental. In order to encourage them to continue, she simply gave Yi Yu's reward to Black Overlord. This is the newly refined Spirit Beast Pill Cherry Pill. Yi Jioga took out a bottle of cherry pill. Black Overlord's small eyes shone with excitement, and immediately rushed up to hug the jade bottle that was even bigger than him, and then turned into a black light and disappeared. Chapter 227. As soon as Black Lord left, Yi rushed out and asked anxiously, "Where's my Black Lord?" "He flew away with your reward." Yi Jioga pointed in the direction where Black Lord had disappeared. "That stupid goo got ahead of me again." Yi was so angry that his face turned black. That Black Lord had no control over himself. Every time there was something delicious, he would eat until he died. He could finish a bottle of Spirit Beast pills in 15 minutes. He was a typical Sunlight Clan member. When there was nothing left, he was jealous of Little Red and the others and pestered Yi Yu every day to buy more. How annoying. Cough cough. "Do you want to get it back?" Yi Jioga asked irresponsibly. "It's useless now. Let's talk about business first." Yi Yu sighed. With that big mouth of the Black Tyrant, it was likely that even the bottle had been swallowed by now. So what was the point of looking for it? "What's the matter?" Yi Jioga cooperatively changed the topic. "The Spiritualist Alliance is in a heated argument because of Grandmaster Dongfang's master building pill. Many sects are trying to squeeze more people into their ranks. Right now it's very noisy. I don't know when it will be settled. If we wait for them, I'm afraid we'll have to wait for a very long time." "Are you sure about the leader?" Yi Jioga asked. "Yes, Gong Shifan is leading the team," Yi said confidently. "It's him." Yi Jioga thought of the handsome uncle who had helped her out. He was not a simple character. If he was leading the team, the Spiritualist Alliance would not be able to make a fuss for long. "Gong Shifan," Zishang suddenly said coldly. Obviously, he remembered that it was the person who had helped Yi Jioga when he was asleep. "Ask Dongfang Yao to pressure the Spiritualist Alliance. If they can't decide on the team in 10 days, we won't wait." Zishang looked at Yi Yu and ordered, "Can we not wait?" Yi Jioga doubted that they could even fill the gap between the bloodthirsty ancestor's teeth. The bloodthirsty ancestor is prepared. The Spiritualist Alliance is still arguing. We must give them some pressure. Zishang's words were well-founded. Yi Jioga thought it was a good idea, so he said to Yi Yu, "Do as he said." Yes. Yi Yu was about to leave. Yi Jioga suddenly remembered something and hurriedly stopped him. "Wait, let me draw some blood first." "Blood?" Yi Yu was stunned. He didn't understand what Yi Jioga wanted to do with his blood. "With your current cultivation, it's still dangerous to go to Blood Cloud Mountain. I plan to help you refine some secret pellets that can increase your cultivation in a short time." Yi Jioga had gotten this idea from Bloodthirsty Forefather. His blood beads could stimulate the fighting strength of Xiong Yunhu and the others. In that case, she could use the same principle to refine a few pills for Yi Yu in case he needed them. This way, he wouldn't be fooled by Lu Yunfei like he was in Alchemy City. Alright. With such a life-saving method, Yi was naturally happy. He extended his hand without hesitation. Yi Jioga took out the sterilized blood vessel and started to bleed Yi Yu. "Young miss, if you refine pills for us every day, will it affect your cultivation?" Yi Yu asked carefully. This question had always been in his heart. Other alchemists and spiritualists cultivated in seclusion, constantly improving their pill refinement and cultivation. Very few of them were distracted. However, young Miss did many things personally, and often fought with them on the front lines. How would she have time to cultivate like this? You don't need to worry about this. I know what I'm doing. Yi Jyoga couldn't tell Yi Yu that it wasn't that she didn't want to cultivate. It was because she was poisoned by the 9-layer bone shatterer. Cultivating too much would easily cause her dantian to explode. At that time, she wouldn't even know how she died. Speaking of which, when she went to find Yi Yuxuan last time, she actually forgot whether he was the one who poisoned her. To be honest, Yi Jyoga didn't think it was Yi Yuxuan. At that time she was so young. If Yi Yuxuan wanted to kill her, it would be as easy as flipping his palm. He didn't need to use such a high-end and special poison. However, she still needed to ask him. Yi Jyoga's mind was full of thoughts, but her hands didn't stop moving. Soon, she gave Yi Yu a bottle of blood. Is this enough? Yi Yu couldn't wait for Yi Jyoga to give him more blood, so that he could refine more secret pills. Yes. Secret pills were something that could only be used when there was no other choice. How could they be used as food? Yi Yu put down his sleeves, curled his fingers and whistled. Then, Black Tyrant flew out of the window with the jade bottle in his arms. His fat belly was so bloated that it was about to droop. Black Tyrant, who had just received his master's reward, perfectly displayed the true essence of the sunlight race. The jade bottle couldn't be any emptier. Let's go. Yi Yu shoved Black Tyrant into his pocket and left with Yi Jyoga. Yi Jyoga put away Yi Yu's blood and told Zishang about the 9-layer bone shatterer. This sovereign has already asked for you. It wasn't your scumbag father who poisoned you. Zishang's answer was completely out of Yi Jyoga's expectations. When did you ask? Yi Jyoga asked in surprise. They were always together. So how could Zishang have the time to ask Yi Yuxuan? Is that important? Zishang raised his eyebrows. Alright, that's not important. Since it wasn't Yi Yuxuan who poisoned me, who else could it be? Yi Jyoga was very confused. I suspect it was your mother Yin Jiaojiao. Zishang said something shocking again. You're saying it was my mother who poisoned me? Yi Jyoga was about to explode. Could it be that not only did she have a scumbag father, she also had a scumbag mother? I'm guessing that your mother already knew that your scumbag father was harboring evil intentions. That's why she poisoned you with the 9-layer bone shatterer, so that you would be able to survive. At that time, if Yi Jyoga was still a talented first wife's daughter, she would most likely have been killed by Yi Yuxuan. Only by being a cripple would she be able to live longer. Only by staying alive would she have a chance to reverse the situation. Yi Jyoga was silent. Although her impression of her mother was already very faint, Mother Qing often said that her mother looked weak on the outside, but was decisive on the inside. It was indeed very likely that she would do such a thing. Although you can't cultivate quickly right now, if you completely remove the 9-layer bone shatterer, you will be reborn and become an overlord spirit body. Zishang said. Not only was the overlord spirit body an excellent aptitude for body tempering, it was also extremely good for spiritual energy cultivation. Then how do I completely remove the 9-layer bone shatterer? Yi Jyoga asked anxiously. There was always a ticking time bomb in her dantian, causing her to always feel extremely uneasy. Cultivation is not something that can be rushed. First, open up your meridians. When we dual cultivate, this sovereign will help you force out the second poison. Zishang was not anxious at all. Now that he had successfully transformed, he could always stay by Yi Jyoga's side to protect her, so she could take her time. Chapter 228. You're not in a hurry, but I am. With Zishang's previous unreliable behavior, it would be strange if Yi Jyoga believed him. Don't even think about cultivating it. Use the white bone fire to refine your Thunder Snake illusionary whip. It will also increase your combat power. Zishang's voice was very sincere, but his attitude was very perfunctory. Really, Yi Jyoga took out the Thunder Snake illusionary whip from her waist. After a period of refining, this demonic weapon seemed to be more intelligent. The snake eyes on the handle faintly flashed with light. The snake body kept moving, but it was still a bit away from advancing. If you can get a 4th-rank Dark Soul Grass and refine the Thunder Snake illusionary whip, not only will it advance, it will also gain a Poison Fog skill. Zishang said. There is no Dark Soul Grass on the market in Thunder Country. Where can I find it? Yi Jyoga was depressed. Dark soul grass only grew in the nests of poisonous demonic beasts. Now that all the high-level demonic beasts were in the demonic race's territory, it was very difficult to find it. If there is a chance, this sovereign will go back to the demonic race and help you get a stack. But this chance would have to wait for a long time. He could not show himself in the demonic race now. Forget it, I will think of a way. Yi Joga shook her head. Zishang complained every day that she did not have enough demonic power. Unless it was absolutely necessary, she could not bear to order him around. Yi Joga put away the thunder snake illusionary whip and began to organize the pills she needed to refine. Previously, Luo Tian had mentioned to her that Bloodthirsty Sect had a mountain protection formation. Not only did it gather all kinds of miasma, poisonous gas and bewitching gas, it also raised a large group of extremely vicious blood mosquitoes. It was very dangerous. Yi Joga wanted to refine a high-grade pill that could expel poison and ward off insects. But the 3-star nether grass needed for this pill was not sold in Thunder Country. She was thinking if she should let Yi Yu buy some from other places. Just as Yi Joga was organizing things, Mother Qing's voice came from outside. "Eldest miss, the Gong family has come to visit. Do you want to go out and meet them?" Gong family? Yi Joga put down the brush and looked at Zishang. Zishang looked outside and said lazily, "It's Gong Shifan and Gong Honglei. There are also a few small fries." Why did Gong Shifan come to find me? Yi Joga felt strange. She tidied up her appearance and walked out of the house. Zishang naturally stayed by her side. "Wait." Yi Joga stopped and said to Zishang, "Observe from the shadows and act according to the situation." Gong Shifan was a spirit master and had seen a lot of things. She was worried that Purple Deceased Sword would expose himself. All right. Zishang was indifferent to this, and he immediately concealed himself. Although Yi Joga couldn't see him, he could feel that he was by his side. He immediately calmed down and walked towards the hall. In the main seat of the hall sat a tall and thin man with deep eyes and a temperament like a mountain. His brows were filled with the vicissitudes of life, and his body had a very special attraction. It was Gong Shifan. Beside him was Gong Honglei. Behind them were a man and a woman, who were both advanced spiritualists. The man was wearing blue clothes and was about 25 years old. He was quite handsome, but his eyes were a little unfocused. The woman was wearing a light yellow dress and was in her early 20s. She wasn't tall, had high cheekbones, slender eyes, and a slightly flat nose. Her looks were very average, and even a little ugly. She had a rather high-rank storage bag on her waist, and her ugly face was full of arrogance. Seeing Yi Joga come out, the woman suddenly revealed a look of disdain, and even let out a cold snort. Although Yi Joga felt that it was a little strange, he ignored her and bowed to Gong Shifan. "Joga greets Master Gong. May I know what instructions Master Gong has for me today?" "I don't dare to give you instructions. I was just passing by and came to visit young Lady Yi." Gong Shifan smiled and pointed at Gong Honglei. "This is my nephew Honglei. I believe young lady recognizes him." "Yes." Yi Joga nodded and greeted Gong Honglei. "Young Master Gong, long time no see." "Young lady, long time no see." Gong Honglei smiled and looked at Yi Joga with sincere and grateful eyes. Gong Shifan then introduced the man and the woman. "This is Dan Yongsek's Qiao Xiaohua and Yu Lingjun. Joga greets the two of you." Yi Joga greeted them indifferently. Yu Lingjun impolitely sized Yi Joga up and said arrogantly, "Are you Yi Shanshan's sister? The younger sister is shameless, but the older sister looks more like one." Her words were very impolite, full of contempt and humiliation. "Young lady you, what do you mean?" Yi Joga's face sank. Yu Lingjuan's slap was about to hit her face. If she didn't react, others would think that she was easy to bully. "Dan Yongsek's ancestor Lingyun is my grandfather," Yu Lingjun said proudly. "Dan Yongsek, ancestor Lingyun?" Yi Joga suddenly remembered that wasn't the place where Yi Shanshan was sent to be a concubine. This was a disgusting misunderstanding. Her younger sister was a concubine and her older sister, who had the same surname, was looked down upon. It was all because of Yi Yuxuan. Young Lady Yi has already established her own sect, and has nothing to do with the Yi clan. Don't mix them up." Gong Honglei frowned and looked at Yu Lingjun unhappily. Yu Lingjun disdainfully said, "If she has nothing to do with it, then why can't she change her surname? This has nothing to do with young lady Yu." Yi Joga was just short of saying that she was a busybody. Who said it has nothing to do with young lady Yu? Your younger sister is shameless and seduced my grandfather. Your Yi clan's upbringing is truly disgusting. Yu Lingjun wanted to say more, but she was stopped by Qiao Xiaohua. Junior sister, stop talking. Qiao Xiaohua signaled Gong Shifan with his eyes. Yu Lingjun noticed that Gong Shifan's expression was grave and cold. It was clear that he was very dissatisfied with her attitude. Yu Lingjun didn't dare to offend Gong Shifan, and could only shut up. Gong Shifan suppressed Yu Lingjun and said, "Young lady, we came here today to ask about Alchemy City and the heretic cultivators. I thought Big Brother Bai and Big Brother One already told you." Yi Joga heard from Yi Yu that Gong Shifan had already asked Bai Songling and Wan Ziyang about the specifics. They did indeed tell me. They heard that the heretic cultivators are experts in using poison. The only thing that can deal with them is the goo worms that your subordinates nurtured. So I wanted to ask if it's convenient for you to sell some to us? Gong Shifan asked politely. He had been appointed as the leader to deal with bloodthirsty sect, and had carefully investigated this matter. Yi Joga's goo worms were an indispensable item on his list of resources. Yi Joga's eyes brightened. She suddenly realized that she could use goo worms to exchange for dark soul grass with the Gong clan. The Gong clan had such a large family business. It would definitely be faster than her looking for it herself. Chapter 229. Yi Joga was thinking about how to bring this up when Yu Lingjun suddenly said, "Fighting against heretic cultivators is everyone's responsibility. Do you want to take money?" Yi Joga raised his head in surprise. Who gave this person so much face to ask for something for free? That's right. Aren't you known as the hero fighting against heretic cultivators? Are you not even willing to give me something like this? Yu Lingjun said matter-of-factly. She just didn't like Yi Joga. He was just the elder sister of a lowly concubine. Yet he was in the limelight in Alchemy City. This time, the Spiritualist Alliance was going to eradicate bloodthirsty sect. The competition in the alliance was so fierce that even her position was squeezed in with great difficulty. However, Yi Joga easily occupied a spot, and even made the leader Master Gong look at him in a different light. Those goo worms were just some unorthodox methods, yet he still dared to use them as a condition. He was simply shameless. Qiao Xiaohua didn't try to dissuade his junior sister this time. Although their Danyang sect was famous for alchemy, master establishment pills were also very scarce. Yu Lingjun had an elder grandfather, so she had an advantage in this aspect. He didn't have a backer, so he could only rely on himself. Thus, he was determined to get this master establishment pill. In his eyes, Yi Joga was a competitor. Weakening the competitor's strength was also very good. Gong Honglei was also stunned by Yu Lingjun's shamelessness. After a while he said angrily, "Who do you think you are to make people selflessly contribute?" "Young Master Gong, I'm talking to Miss Yi. Why are you so agitated?" Yu Lingjun's gaze swept back and forth between Gong Honglei and Yi Joga. Then, she muttered in a voice that everyone could hear. "The younger sister is shameless, but the older sister is no better." Gong Honglei's face turned red with anger. If it wasn't for the fact that Yu Lingjun was a woman, he would have struck her. "Miss Yu, please behave yourself. Young Master Gong and I are just friends." After Yi Joga solemnly clarified his relationship with Gong Honglei, he said to Gong Shifan, "But Miss Yu is right. Dealing with bloodthirsty sect is everyone's matter. Those who have the ability should contribute. I'm willing to give the goo worms for free." "TSK, isn't it just a goo worm? You speak as if it's something amazing." Yu Lingjun sneered. Enough. Qiao Xiaohua also felt that his junior sister's words were a bit too much, and quickly pulled her back. "Miss Yi, you don't have to do this." Gong Shifan frowned. He regretted bringing the two idiots from the Danyang sect with him. "Master Gong, you don't have to be so polite. It's everyone's responsibility to fight against evil cultivators. If it were Miss Yu, she would do the same." Yi Jioga looked at Yu Lingjun with a smile. Of course, Yu Lingjun replied proudly. Since that's the case, there's something I need Miss Yu's help with. I have the recipe for a high-grade insect repellent pill that can resist the bloodthirsty sect's defensive formation. I'm just missing some 3-star serene grass. Miss Yu is in the Danyang sect, so I'm sure you won't be lacking in spirit herbs. You'll definitely be willing to contribute them. Yi Jioga smiled as he dug a hole for Yu Lingjun. Gong Honglei could already tell that Yi Jioga was digging a hole for Yu Lingjun to jump into. He was very willing to help her, so he said loudly, Miss Yi can actually refine this kind of spirit pill. That's great. This way, we have more confidence in dealing with the bloodthirsty sect. With that, Gong Honglei turned to Yu Lingjun and said, Miss Yu, this 3-star serene grass is all up to you. Don't just say it and not do it. Yu Lingjun's expression changed, and she quickly said, 3-star serene grass isn't cheap, you. Miss Yu, don't tell me you want me to contribute even the pill recipe. Yi Jioga interrupted Yu Lingjun's words. Yu Lingjun really did have this idea. Gong Honglei rushed to say again. Miss Yi is worrying too much. The Danyang sect has so many pill recipes, but I haven't seen them contribute any. In other words, if you want someone else to contribute a pill recipe, you should take one out if you have the ability. Yu Lingjun's expression changed again. Pill recipes were a secret. Even if her grandfather was the patriarch of the Danyang sect, he couldn't break this rule. Xiao Xiaohua saw that the situation was bad and quickly said, Young Master Gong, the 3-star serene grass is expensive. We are just disciples of the Danyang sect, so we can't make the decision. Is that so? When the two of you made the decision to ask Miss Yi to contribute her goo worms, you were quite loud. Gong Honglei didn't give these two any face at all. Although the Danyang sect was also a large sect, the Gong family wasn't to be trifled with. There was no need to give them face. How can those goo worms compare to the 3-star serene grass? Yu Lingjun said angrily. The 3-star serene grass was a rank 3 spirit herb. It wasn't easy to cultivate it, so it was impossible for their sect to give it away casually. Miss Yu, you're wrong. Everyone is showing their sincerity for this mission. The price is the sincerity, and my goo worms might not be worse than your 3-star serene grass. The market price of 3-star serene grass is less than 1,000 taels of gold each. My goo worms are priceless, Yi Jioga said coldly. You have the cheek to ask for a few stupid worms? Pfft. Yu Lingjun's face was full of anger. She wanted to go forward and give Yi Jioga 2 slaps. Enough. Gong Shifan was really angry this time. The pressure of a spirit master crushed towards Yu Lingjun and Xiao Xiaohua. Either the Danyang sect hand over 2 caddies of 3-star serene grass, or you can scram. I don't need people who go back on their words. Master Gong, how can you do this? Yu Lingjun was so angry that her face was distorted. She was the direct disciple of the Danyang sect. Master Gong was actually chasing her away for the sister of a lowly concubine. Master Gong, my junior sister is young and insensible. Please forgive her. Xiao Xiaohua could see that Gong Shifan was really angry. If he persisted, he might really be kicked out. This was an opportunity that he had fought so hard for. He definitely couldn't take it back. Since it was Yu Lingjun's fault, he could only let her bear it herself. I'll give you 3 days to prepare. Gong Shifan said coldly. Yes. Xiao Xiaohua nodded helplessly and said to Yu Lingjun, Junior sister, let's go back first. Yu Lingjun stomped her feet and glared fiercely at Yi Jioga before turning around and leaving. Gong Honglei looked at the backs of the two of them and said angrily to Gong Shifan, Third uncle, these two people simply don't know what they're talking about. Are you really going to bring them along? If they're really willing to take the 3-star serene grass, Gong Shifan was non-committal. It's best if they're willing. Without the detoxification and insect repellent pill, it will be very difficult for us to deal with the bloodthirsty sect's protective mountain formation. Yi Jioga didn't just dig a hole to deal with Yu Lingjun. Chapter 230. I wonder if young Miss can explain this mountain guarding formation in detail? Gong Shifan's expression became serious. Their spiritualist alliance didn't have any information about this mountain guarding formation. Of course. Yi Jioga didn't hide anything, and told him everything that Juni-chan told her. Gong Shifan was shocked when he heard that this formation was filled with obstacles and poisonous gas, and there were many hidden blood-sucking mosquitoes. It's actually so powerful. Yes, so I have to refine this poison-repelling and insect-repelling pill. Others didn't care, but Yi Jioga definitely had to refine it. Danyang's sect doesn't have enough 3-star serene grass. I'll give you another batch. Please help me refine a batch of pills for 30 people. As for the goo worms I mentioned earlier, I'll buy them from you under my own name. Just name the price. Gong Shifan requested solemnly. He never thought of taking advantage of Yi Jioga. Master Gong is indeed straightforward. Forget about the payment, if possible. I hope you can help me find a dark soul grass. Yi Jioga was advancing by retreating. Gong clan had their own elixir shop in Baimu City. They definitely had a way to get it for her. No problem. Gong Shifan nodded without hesitation. Dark soul grass was precious, but it was worth it to win over Yi Jioga. Thank you. Yi Jioga nodded. It was easy to do things with straightforward people. Our team has about 15 people, and we'll set off in 10 days. What's young Miss Ye's plan? Do you want to come with us? Gong Shifan asked. No need, we'll set off 5 days in advance. We'll go check the situation there first and meet up then. Yi Jioga originally wanted to move with Gong Shifan, but Yu Lingjuan's attitude made her change her mind. If the righteous sects were all arrogant people like this, she wouldn't go looking for trouble. Alright. Gong Shifan knew that Yu Lingjun and Xiao Xiaohua disgusted Yi Jioga, so he didn't force her and change the topic. I heard Master Yin sent an expert to protect you. Is that true? Yes. Yi Jioga nodded. I wonder if First Miss can introduce me? Gong Shifan said with a smile. Sorry, he's not in the residence. Yi Jioga said apologetically. That's a pity. Gong Shifan smiled regretfully. If there is a chance, I will bring him to visit you. Yi Jioga said politely. She still needed the help of the Gong family for her dark soul grass, so she still had to say some polite words. I will definitely welcome you with open arms. At this point, Gong Shifan's attitude became serious, and he said solemnly, Eldest Miss, I have something to ask of you. Master Gong, please speak. Yi Jioga had already guessed what he wanted to say. Young Miss, you should have heard that my big brother's son, Gong Baiyu, was born with an eye disease. Many spiritual doctors were unable to treat it, so I want to ask Master Yin to take a look. As long as Master Yin can cure Baiyu's disease, our Gong family is willing to pay any price. Gong Shifan's promise was so heavy that even Yi Jioga was moved. Unfortunately, she didn't know where her grandfather was. She could only rely on herself to fight for this promise. Hence, Yi Jioga said apologetically, my grandfather's whereabouts are uncertain. Even if I have a way to send a message, I don't know when he will receive it. If Master Gong doesn't mind, can I first diagnose young Master Baiyu's illness? Of course, but Baiyu isn't in 100 Eye City now. He is in the Boundless Sect, Gong Shifan said. Isn't the Boundless Sect a place for Buddhist cultivators? Why did young Master Baiyu go there? Yi Jioga asked curiously. With the importance the Gong family placed on Gong Baiyu, it was impossible for them to let him become a monk. Gong Shifan hesitated for a moment before saying, Baiyu's eye disease is getting worse. He can't sleep at night. He can only rest for a while at the Boundless Sect. Is that serious? Yi Jioga suddenly felt that something was wrong. The eye disease affected the brain, and it was spreading too quickly. Even she wasn't confident that she could cure it. Yes, I heard that the blood lotus can calm the mind. I wanted to find one for him to try. The reason why Gong Shifan was willing to be the team leader was not only to take revenge for Gong Hongyu, but also to obtain the blood lotus to alleviate Gong Baiyu's illness. I see. Yi Jioga sighed. Master Dongfang was also determined to obtain the blood lotus. He was even willing to use master establishment pills to exchange for it. He hoped that the blood lotus in the bloodthirsty sect would be enough for the two of them to fight for it. Gong Shifan chatted with brother Yi Jio for a while longer. Just as he was about to leave, Gong Honglei, who had been silent all this time, suddenly said, Eldest Miss, I have a question, but I don't know if I should ask it. Young Master Gong, please speak. Yi Joga said politely. You are the only descendant of the Yun family. Why don't you change your surname back to Yun? Gong Honglei really wanted to ask this, when Yu Lingjun humiliated Yi Joga. What was she supposed to say? When she broke off with her scumbag father, and came out to establish her own family, she still wanted to change her surname. However, Emperor Xianwu suddenly gave her a Yi residence plaque. It was obvious that he wanted her to continue fighting with her scumbag father. She had just established her own family, so it wasn't good for her to embarrass Emperor Xianwu. However, Yu Lingjun used the fact that Yi Shanshan was a concubine to attack her. This made her realize that as long as she continued to use her surname, Yi Yuxuan's tricks would affect her reputation. Now it seemed that it was necessary to change her surname, but she still had to find the right time. I still have some face in front of Emperor Xianwu. If eldest Miss Yi wants to change, I can help. Gong Shifang could see Yi Joga's fear. This simple sentence showed the demeanor of an expert. Although Emperor Xianwu was the emperor of Thunder Country, he was still far inferior to the Gong family. It was a piece of cake for the Gong family to ask him to change his edict. If that's the case, thank you. Yi Joga nodded. Since the Gong family was willing to help, she didn't refuse. I'll get someone to send the 3-star nether grass and the dark soul flower over later. I wonder if eldest Miss is free in the afternoon? Gong Shifan asked. I'll be at home for the next few days. Yi Joga nodded. It's getting late. We'll leave first. Gong Shifan said goodbye and left. In the afternoon, the Gong family sent the 3-star nether grass and the dark soul flower over. There were only 3 to 4 portions of the 3-star nether grass. This was the Gong family's reserve in Thunder Country. The rest was being urgently deployed. It would take about 2 more days. There was enough dark soul grass. It was a box full of black spiritual herbs. The dense spiritual energy it emitted was like a black fog. The quality was very high. Gong Shifan was indeed a straightforward person. After Yi Joga got the 3-star nether grass, she prepared to make a cauldron of poison and insect repellent pills. As for using the dark soul grass to forge the Thunder Snake illusionary whip, Zishang took over. Chapter 231. In the alchemy room, Yi Joga stood in front of the small bronze cauldron and focused on controlling the white bone fire for the final stage of core formation. The cauldron emitted a white glow as the medicinal liquid quickly condensed into dozens of white pills. When the cauldron was opened, an extremely cold aura rushed out, and the temperature in the room immediately plummeted. This Yin pill is not bad. Zishang raised his eyebrows. It was his first time refining such a difficult Yin pill, yet it was so perfect. Xiao Joga was indeed amazing. Do you think Gong Shifan will dare to eat it if he knows it's a Yin pill? Yi Joga asked Zishang worriedly. She did not tell Gong Shifan that the poison and insect repellent pill she refined was a Yin pill. This was because the Yin pill was not suitable for spiritualists and would feel uncomfortable eating it. However, the bloodthirsty sect's protective formation was too powerful and spirit pills could not resist it. Only the Yin pill could fight poison with poison. He would be stupid if he doesn't eat it. Zishang did not think Gong Shifan was a fool. The greatest effect of the Yin pill Xiao Joga refined was not to expel poison and insects, but to kill them. After consuming this Yin pill, no matter what poison entered the body, it would immediately be metabolized and form poisonous sweat on the surface of the body. Mosquitoes would die if they touched it. This was the pill she specially researched based on the bloodthirsty sect's protective formation. You're right. Since I've already refined the pill, it's up to them whether they eat it or not. As Yi Joga spoke, she put away the Yin pill in the cauldron. 2 more cauldrons and then help me deal with the dark soul grass. Zishang glanced at the remaining 3-star nether grass. The Gong family and Danyang sect had sent another batch, so they could refine a total of 300 Yin pills, which greatly exceeded their budget. Okay. Yi Joga quickly refined the remaining 3-star nether grass and went to help Zishang sort out the dark soul grass. Each dark soul grass was only the length of a pinky and was completely black. The thicker the mist emitted, the more poisonous it was. What Yi Joga needed to do was to use the white bone fire to extract the poison from the dark soul grass. Zishang stood in the corner and injected demonic power into the Thunder Snake illusionary whip. As the black and purple light poured into it, the Thunder Snake illusionary whip seemed to have awakened. Its snake eyes flickered with a cruel light. It nimbly flew out of Zishang's hand and circled around Yi Jioge. Yi Jioge set up a 3-finger-wide, 1-foot-long iron plate in the middle of the pill refining room. He then placed all the dark soul grass on it and summoned the white bone fire to roast the grass. Every time a dark soul grass burned out, it would turn into a cloud of black mist and try to escape. But before they could drift far away, they would be swallowed by the lightning snake illusory whip. More and more black fog appeared and fled in all directions. The Thunder Snake illusionary whip's movements also abruptly sped up. It moved around the house like a black lightning bolt, swallowing all the black mist into its mouth. Its originally silver-white body was gradually dyed with black mist, making it look even more ferocious. Zishang had been paying close attention to the lightning snake illusionary whip's movements. When the lightning snake illusionary whip swallowed the last of the black mist, he flicked his finger, and a drop of blood flew into the lightning snake illusionary whip's mouth. "What are you doing?" Yi Jioge was shocked. Wasn't dripping blood to recognize the owner something she should do? Could it be that this guy wanted to steal her weapon? You're thinking too much. How could Zishang be interested in this small demon equipment? His low HP was just to add another layer of protection to the demonic artifact. After absorbing Zishang's blood, the lightning snake illusionary whip immediately changed. On top of the silver snake, there was an additional black snake. The snake's head intertwined with the neck, and the snake's body intertwined, extending downwards. "Try it." Zishang threw the lightning snake illusionary whip to Yi Jioge. After Yi Jioge received it, she inserted her spiritual energy into it. The lightning snake illusionary whip immediately expanded, and a silver-white light shone, completely enveloping the black snake. After the upgrade, the lightning snake illusionary whip had even more attack power than before. But Yi Jioge felt that it shouldn't be just that. She put her index finger into the snake's fang on the handle. After absorbing blood, the lightning snake illusionary whip changed into a demon equipment. In an instant, it became completely black, and its attack was incomparably strange. As long as one was hit, they would immediately die from poison. If it was at night, it would definitely be impossible to defend against. Yi Jioge was very satisfied with this. "I placed a seal inside. If you encounter a situation where you have to risk your life, you can open this seal." Zishang told Yi Jioge the method to remove the seal. Yi Jioge carefully memorized it. This seal was made by Zishang using her own blood essence. It was definitely her life-saving weapon. Yi Jioge adapted to the new function of the lightning snake illusionary whip, then wrapped it around his waist, and left the alchemy room. Then, he called Mother Qing over. "Has there been any movement in the palace in the past few days? Did His Majesty give us any decree?" Yi Jioge asked. "I haven't heard of any movement in the palace." Mother Qing shook her head and cautiously asked Yi Jioge, "Eldest Miss, what decree do you think His Majesty will give us?" "Nothing much." Yi Jioge didn't tell Mother Qing about changing back to her surname Yun. If the Gong family didn't handle this matter well, Mother Qing would definitely be very disappointed. "Won't you know after asking Gong Shifan?" At the same time, take a look at who the Spiritualist Alliance sent over. Zishang said beside Yi Jioge's ear. "All right." Yi Jioge nodded. The Spiritualist Alliance was the main force to deal with the bloodthirsty ancestor. She had to carefully understand their strength. If they were all swindlers like Dan Yang's sect, then she would have to consider whether or not to cooperate with them. The Spiritualist Alliance's special encampment in Shangjing was at 17 West Main Street. It wasn't very far. Yi Jioge stored the 3 goo worms and 200 yin pills that Junichen sent over. Then, he sat in the carriage with Zishang and headed towards the Spiritualist Alliance's encampment. When they were about to get off the carriage, Yi Jioge said to Zishang, "Same old method. Hide in the dark and act according to the situation." "No." Zishang refused. "Why?" Yi Jioge frowned. This guy was usually quite obedient. Why was he acting out today? "No reason." Zishang directly got off the carriage and walked towards the gate. Wait for me. Yi Jioga quickly followed. Did this guy still remember his identity as a guard? Sorry, I forgot. Zishang quickly turned back into an obedient guard. He stood behind Yi Jioga, without a sense of presence. Yi Jioga knocked on the door. The person who opened the door was a clever young man. When he heard that Yi Jioga was here to deliver pills to Master Gong, he said politely, Master Gong is at the martial arts field. This way, please. After saying that, he led the way. Yi Jioga followed the young man through the long corridor. After turning a corner, they arrived at the incomparably spacious martial arts field. At this moment, the martial arts field was filled with spiritualists. It should be the team that Gong Shifan was leading this time. These spiritualists were all advanced spiritualists. Among them, Yu Lingjun and Xiao Xiaohua stood in front of Yi Jioga. Seeing Yi Jioga walking over, Yu Lingjun's eyes immediately revealed a resentful light. She lowered her head and said a few words to a young girl beside her. The young girl looked up at Yi Jioga in surprise. She immediately revealed a mocking expression and touched her companion beside her. Just like that, the spiritualists at the scene quickly noticed Yi Jioga's appearance. Chapter 232. The spiritualists all revealed expressions of disgust, disdain, contempt, and wretchedness. It was easy to imagine that Yu Lingjun would definitely promote her sister's reputation among them. To these proud sons of heaven, a woman who became an old man's concubine was a lowly good. Even her sisters were lowly. Yi Jioga acted as if he did not see these malicious gazes, and only asked the young guard softly, Where is Master Gong? Please wait for a moment. I will go and call Master Gong. The young guard turned around and entered the house, leaving Yi Jioga standing there. I was wondering who it was. Isn't this Miss Yi? What do you want today? Yu Lingjun crossed her arms in front of her chest, and her attitude was sarcastic. I am here to give Master Gong goo worms and pills. Yi Jioga smiled and said sincerely to Yu Lingjun, I have to thank Miss Yu for the 3-star serene grass, or else I would not be able to successfully refine this poison-repellent pill. When Yu Lingjun heard this, her face immediately turned red. Because of the 3-star serene grass, she was severely reprimanded by her grandfather, saying that she was too willful and immature. The most despicable person was that Yi Shanshan, who pretended to blame her for everything and wanted to apologize to her. Although she did not want this bitch to apologize, she did not mind humiliating her. She did not expect her grandfather to protect this little bitch, and instead blame her for not knowing the rules and bullying her elders. When Yu Lingjun thought of this, she glared at Yi Jioga with even more hatred and shouted angrily, Since that is the case, then quickly hand over the goo worms and pills. Hand them to you? Yi Jioga asked in surprise. Could it be that Miss Yu is in charge of managing the supplies? Of course not. Before Yu Lingjun could speak, a young man with a long sword on his back said, Managing supplies is such an important matter. How can it be her turn? Bailey Moyen, what do you mean? Yu Lingjun looked fiercely at the young man. I mean it literally. Bailey Moyen looked at her, as if she was not stupid enough to not understand human language, instantly angering Yu Lingjun half to death. Yi Jioga secretly sized up Bailey Moyen. He saw that Bailey Moyen had red lips, white teeth, and a handsome appearance. His pair of peach blossom eyes made him look rather distinguished, and the way he spoke also seemed to infuriate people to death. The man standing next to him was dressed in black. He was tall and had long black eyebrows. He looked cold and arrogant. Sensing Yi Jioga's gaze, he glanced at her expressionlessly. These two were the only ones present who did not show any malice towards Yi Jioga. Looking at the long sword on Bailey Moyen's back, it was very likely that he was from the same sect as Gong Honglei. It seemed that Gong Honglei had spoken good words about him to them. Other than the two men, the other spiritualists were like Yu Lingjun. They were very disdainful of her. Yi Jioga lowered his eyelids. He already had a plan in mind. If you look down on me, you'll have a chance to cry. At this moment, Gong Shifan, who had received the news, walked out with Gong Honglei. He greeted Yi Jioga warmly. Eldest miss, why are you free to come over? I'm here to give you pills and goo worms. Yi Jioga took out a wrapped box from his Qingquan bag. May I know how many goo worms there are in total? Gong Shifan asked casually. Time was too tight. I only managed to cultivate 3. Yi Jioga looked apologetic. In reality, Junie-Chen had cultivated 13 of them, but she was not stupid enough to give them all to Gong Shifan. There are only 3. How are we going to divide them? Aren't you making things difficult for Master Gong? Yu Lingjun immediately questioned Yi Jioga loudly. There's no need to divide them. These goo worms will automatically recognize me as their master. Yi Jioga spoke softly. He did not change because of Yu Lingjuan's bad attitude. These goo worms can actually recognize me as their master. They are indeed intelligent. Gong Shifan nodded in satisfaction. It was common knowledge that whether it was a weapon or a spirit beast, those that would automatically recognize their master were all of high quality. How do these goo worms recognize me as their master? Bailey Moyen looked at Yi Jioga with his peach blossom eyes. He did not seem to be interested in the goo worms. Instead, he seemed to be more interested in the beauty Yi Jioga. Everyone, take turns to put your finger into the box. Once the goo worm recognizes you as its master, it will automatically bite your index finger and sign a contract with you. Yi Jioga ignored Bailey Moyen's flirtatious look. She solemnly took out the wooden box containing the goo worm. There was a small hole at the top that could fit an index finger. TSK deliberately mystifying things. Yu Lingjun had a look of disdain. The other female spirit practitioners also looked like they were going to politely decline. They hated the worms to begin with. Now that they saw that they had to put their fingers into the box to let the worms suck their blood, they distanced themselves even further. As for Yi Jioga, who dared to play with worms, they despised her to the extreme. I'll go first. How do we do it? Bailey Moyen immediately responded. Just put your finger in. Yi Jioga handed the box over. Bailey Moyen raised his slender and fair index finger. Under everyone's gaze, he slowly inserted it into the box. Ah! Bailey Moyen's handsome face immediately revealed an expression of surprise. What's wrong? Gong Honglei quickly asked. It hit. Bailey Moyen withdrew his finger. There was a small wound on it. Then, a black shadow flew out of the box like lightning. It landed on Bailey Moyen's arm, and quickly turned into a cocoon. Then it quickly broke out of the cocoon. It was a goo worm that looked like a peach-red bird. It had a pointed small beak, intelligent black eyes, peach-red feathers, and was only the size of a thumb. It was extremely cute. Oh my god, it's so cute. Those female spirit practitioners originally thought that goo worms were disgusting. They never expected it to be so cute. This was also the area that Yi Jioga requested Junie-Chen to improve. The Blood Cloak Meow people only focused on power. Those goo worms were all ferocious. However, the team led by Gong Shifan was from a famous sect. Raising goo worms was a crooked way to them. If they had the appearance of Lil Red, Big Mouth, and the rest, they would probably be abandoned after defeating Bloodthirsty sect. Thus, Yi Jioga requested Junie-Chen to change the appearance of these 3 goo worms. It was fine if their power was low, but their appearance had to be acceptable. Now it seemed that the effect was very good. Immediately, there were 2 pretty and lively girls, who could not help but tease the cute peach-red goo bird on Bailey Moyen's arm. The little goo bird also cooperated and chirped softly, looking even more adorable. Young Master Bailey, give it a name. The female spirit practitioner called Lin Yinchi giggled. Bailey Moyen thought about it and quickly decided, let's call it Little Peach. He was also very satisfied with this pink little bird goo. He did not know if it could detoxify the poison, but it was enough to pick up girls. Next, Yi Jioga saw the lively atmosphere, and did not lose the opportunity to shout. Senior brother, go quickly. Yu Lingjun quickly pushed Xiao Xiaohua. If goo worms were all so cute, she wouldn't mind taking one as well. Chapter 233. Junior sister, watch me. Xiao Xiaohua said confidently. Although Yu Lingjun was a bit arrogant and not good-looking, he had to serve her well for the sake of the Lingyun ancestor. Go go. Yu Lingjun saw that Lin Yanqi, who was standing not far away, was also tempted and immediately became anxious. Lin Yanqi was a disciple of the Tianxiang sect. Those stinky men would definitely fight over the remaining 2 goo in order to please her. I'll do it. Xiao Xiaohua immediately squeezed in front of Yi Jioga. Yi Zhouge handed over the box indifferently. Qiao Xiaohua also put his finger into the box, but was immediately bounced out. Sorry, you don't meet the requirements for the gu to recognize you as its owner next. Yi Zhouge ignored Qiao Xiaohua's disappointed expression and immediately moved the box away. Wait, Qiao Xiaohua couldn't accept that he couldn't even subdue a gu. Just as he was about to argue with Yi Zhouge, he was pushed away by a tall and thin young man. Before Qiao Xiaohua could speak, Yu Lingjun already shouted angrily, Wang Haoqiang, what are you trying to do? There are so many people behind, and each one of them is as long-winded as you. When will the queue end? Wang Haoqiang glanced at Yu Lingjun with disdain. He looked so shabby, and still had the face to make a fuss. Did he really think he was invincible because of the Lingyun ancestor's name? Their Qiqiao pavilion wasn't afraid of her spirit medicine sect. Pfft, you don't even want this gu. You just want to use it to please someone. Yu Lingjun said hatefully. Tisk, it's none of your business who I want to please. Wang Haoqiang didn't hide his thoughts at all. He saw Bailey Moyen using a little gu bird to please the female spirit practitioner, and he was already jealous. Especially Lin Yanxi, who he admired, also loved the little gu bird, so he decided that he had to get one for himself. Please put your finger in. Yi Zhouge acted as if he didn't hear their quarrel, and said indifferently. Wang Haoqiang raised his index finger and stuck it in fiercely, constantly chanting in his heart, bite bite. In the end, he flicked it even faster than Qiao Xiaohua. Sorry, you don't meet the rules for gu worms. Next, Yi Zhouge said according to the book. Impossible. Is this bug stupid? It doesn't recognize me. Wang Haoqiang said in disbelief. Strength, this is strength, Bailey Moyen said with a grin, then used his elbow to poke the stern man's waist and said with a grin. Ali, you should also try. Ali Nangongli, a core disciple of the Purple Cloud sect, was also Bailey Moyen's best friend. Next, this time, Yi Zhouge directly walked in front of Nangongli. Nangongli frowned slightly. It was obvious that he did not want to participate. Just give it a try. Bailey Moyen incited from the side. Nangongli was so annoyed by Bailey Moyen that he casually put his finger into the box. Did we hit the jackpot? Bailey Moyen was even more nervous than Nangongli. Nangongli nodded his head. He looked at Yi Zhouge meaningfully, but didn't say anything else. Quick, let's see what kind of gu worm you have. Bailey Moyen pulled Nangongli's finger out. Another black shadow came out of the box and stood on Nangongli's arm. It was a black eagle with blood-red eyes. The eagle, which was the size of a thumb, was both mighty and adorable, causing the female spiritualist to shriek. Yours is not bad too, Bailey Moyen exclaimed. However, he still liked his Xiaotao more. Nangongli was originally worried that this gu worm would be very feminine, but he was relieved when he saw that it was an eagle. There's only one left. Yi Zhouge raised the box high and asked, who else wants to try? Honglei, give it a try. Bailey Moyen pulled Gong Honglei over and forcefully pressed his finger into the box. Gong Honglei looked at Bailey Moyen helplessly. With so few gu worms, he didn't even want to participate in this matter. It hit the jackpot. Bailey Moyen shouted with great experience. The last gu worm transformed into a cocoon. It was a majestic green praying mantis. Ha ha ha, it suits you. Bailey Moyen couldn't help but laugh. Gong Honglei's character was reckless and unyielding, and he often acted like a mantis trying to stop a chariot. This gu worm was very suitable for him. It seems that when these gu worms form a contract, they also follow their master's will. Gong Shifan laughed. That's right. Pleasing the master is also a sign of submission. Yi Zhouge took the opportunity to boast about how intelligent his gu worms were, so that Gong Shifan wouldn't think that he suffered a loss. 3 lousy worms, why would they recognize their master? It's obvious that you're secretly manipulating them, Wang Haoqiang ordered. The other failed candidates also responded. I was wondering why Master Gong was so protective of her. It turns out that he's so good at pleasing people. We're really inferior to him. Yu Lingjun said sarcastically. Many people agreed with her. These spiritualists came from various large sects, and they were dissatisfied with Gong Shifan, the leader who suppressed their own seniors. They didn't dare to say anything in the open, but they dared to agree in secret. Yi Jioga treated Yu Lingjuan's sarcasm as a dog's bark. This was Gong Shifan's territory, so it was not her turn to be in the limelight. In the end, before Gong Shifan could speak, a pleasant and clear voice sounded behind her. Spiritual objects belong to the capable. What right does a useless person have to question it? Who's there? Yu Lingjun widened her eyes and looked at Yi Jioga. But the figure of a beautiful man appeared in her eyes. His black eyebrows reached his temples. His black eyes were as bright as stars. His nose was high, and he had a rosy and charming appearance. Just by standing there, he gave off a domineering aura, as if he was looking down on the world, as if the universe was in his hands. Yu Lingjuan's heart was beating faster. She had seen many handsome men in the Danyang sect, but compared to the person in front of her, they all paled in comparison. The world was dark and gloomy. It was as if he was the only bright light. When did such a devilishly handsome man appear? It was unbelievable that she didn't even notice it. There were many people who felt the same way as Yu Lingjun, and most of the female spiritualists stared at him. The male spiritualist was filled with hostility. They didn't even notice when this devilishly handsome man appeared. It was as if he suddenly appeared as soon as he spoke. What are you doing? Yi Jioga was most annoyed by Zishang's behavior, attracting bees and butterflies. Was he afraid that people didn't know he was handsome? Of course, I'm teaching these useless people how to be human. Zishang replied seriously. You're a demon, teaching others how to be human. Don't you have any shame? Yi Jioga glared at Zishang fiercely and said in a low voice, Go down, don't cause trouble for me. Unfortunately, given the current situation, it was too late for Zishang to go down even if he wanted to because Gong Shifan was already looking over. Chapter 234. The moment Zishang appeared, Gong Shifan already guessed that he was the famous expert in Alchemy City. He took a step forward and smiled at Yi Jioga. You must be Master Yun's guard Yi Zi? Yes. Yi Jioga nodded helplessly. I heard that Brother Yi Zi defeated a demonic cultivator by yourself in Alchemy City. You do live up to your reputation. Gong Shifan praised. I heard that Master Gong's team is made up of elites from various sects. But they don't live up to their reputation. Zishang's tone was full of disdain. Gong Shifan frowned and looked at Yi Jioga. Aren't you going to control your guard? Yi Zi, stop it. Yi Jioga's scolding was not threatening at all. She could tell that Zishang was here to cause trouble. How could she, the fake master, control him? Miss, these people are too useless. Let's not waste time here. Zishang added fuel to the fire. Brother Yi Zi, be careful with your words. Gong Shifan's voice turned cold. Though he really wanted to rope this expert in, he couldn't pretend that he didn't hear such a merciless slap in the face. Brat, don't be too arrogant. If you're so good, let's fight. Wang Haoqiang shouted. Beat him to death. The others also shouted. With just you guys? Zishang smirked and said in disdain. Since you're looking for a fight, there's no need to take turns. Come at me together. Brat, how arrogant. Do you really think we can't do anything to you? Wang Haoqiang didn't have a bottom line either. He immediately called out. Everyone, let's go together and show him how powerful we are. Kill him. Xiao Xiaohua was the first to respond to Wang Haoqiang's call. The others also took the opportunity to surround him. None of the spiritualists in this team were idiots. Even when they were arrogant and prideful, they knew how to judge the situation. Everyone had heard about the battle in Alchemy City. This man who killed a demonic cultivator was definitely not simple. They didn't have much confidence in a one-on-one fight. But if they surrounded him, they would definitely win. The only ones who did not gather were Nangong Li Bailey Moyen, Yu Lingjun and the other female spiritualists. Third uncle. Gong Honglei looked worriedly at Yi Jioga and Zishang, who were surrounded in the middle. Since Brother Yi Zi is so interested, let's play with him. Gong Shifan said calmly, as if the scene in front of him was just a game. Yi Zi had humiliated him so much just now, so he could use Wang Haoqiang and the others to test Yi Zi's strength. Young miss, may I borrow your spirit weapon? Zishang pretended to be respectful as he spoke to Yi Jioga. Keep pretending, keep pretending. Yi Jioga unsheathed the lightning snake illusionary whip with a dark expression and heavily handed it over to Zishang. Then he walked to the side. Zishang shook the whip and said to Wang Haoqiang and the others, "Come. Go." Wang Haoqiang immediately rushed forward. In his hand was a scythe-shaped spirit weapon. With a light wave, countless flat green wind blades shot out. Xiao Shaohua's spirit weapon was a medicine pestle. It emitted a green light and instantly turned into countless vines that fixed Zishang in place. The other spiritualists were overjoyed and did not have any intention of cooperating. They ordered their spirit weapons to attack Zishang. In the blink of an eye, the colorful spiritual light surged toward Zishang. Yu Lingjun stood at the side and watched nervously. Although Zishang's words were very infuriating, she could not bear to see such a handsome man being defeated. The spiritual lights exploded, and the light dissipated. Zishang, who was supposed to be battered and exhausted, was nowhere to be seen. Where did he go? Wang Haoqiang quickly looked around. There! Xiao Shaohua's eyes were sharp. He had already seen Zishang appear beside Yi Jioga. Why did you come back? Yi Jioga looked at Zishang cautiously. Could it be that he did not have enough demonic power and wanted to drag her down to fight with him? I came to invite you to watch the show. Zishang's smile was casual and lazy, but the faint domineering aura was not to be ignored. He did not move at all, but the thunder snake illusion whip in his hand suddenly burst into a dazzling light. Then it turned into a giant python and rushed out. Smash it! Wang Haoqiang roared and took the lead to attack the thunder snake illusion whip. Xiao Shaohua and the other spiritualists also followed behind him and attacked at the same time. The bright thunder snake illusion whip hung high in the air and could not be avoided at all. After being hit by countless spiritual lights, the light immediately dissipated. TSK, I thought he had some ability, but he is only SOSO. Wang Haoqiang was proud. This spirit weapon was the lifeblood of a spiritualist. Smashing his weapon was no different from smashing him. Xiao Shaohua did not relax his vigilance and kept staring at Zishang's movements. Seeing him raise his hand to make a strange sign, he immediately shouted, "Be careful." The thunder snake illusion whip exploded again and shot countless silver lights towards the spiritualists present. This explosion was too fast. Many spiritualists did not even have time to react and were pierced by these lights, making bursts of screams. "You're crazy." Wang Haoqiang's reaction was the fastest. He instantly dissipated two lights, but was still injured by the light. His face and body were instantly left with countless wounds. Xiao Shaohua was the most miserable. His face was swept by several lights and was covered in blood. It looked very terrifying. "Stop!" Yu Lingjun immediately screamed. Gong Shifan also could not bear it anymore. He activated his spiritual power and shot a thumb-thick spiritual light towards the thunder snake illusion whip. At this time, Zishang waved his hand. The thunder snake illusion whip flew back to his hand like lightning and returned to its whip form. "Brother Yizi, it is only a spar. Why do you have to hurt people like this?" Gong Shifan looked at Zishang with a sullen face. Although he did not like Wang Haoqiang and the others, he was the one who was embarrassed when they were beaten so badly. It is only a flesh wound. If you can't even endure such a small injury, then don't go to the blood cloud peak to die. Zishang provoked. Gong Shifan was immediately speechless. Zishang returned the thunder snake illusion whip to Yi Jioga and shook his head. "Just a bunch of trash. How dare you look down on others? You really don't know what you're talking about." Yi Jioga was startled. Could it be that this guy specially stood up for her? "Senior Yizi, although our cultivation is not as good as yours, you don't have to keep saying that we are trash." Gong Honglei said with dissatisfaction. "I'm not talking about you. I'm talking about them." Zishang pointed with his finger and accurately landed on Wang Haoqiang, Xiao Shaohua and the others. Wang Haoqiang, Xiao Shaohua and the others were angry, but did not dare to say anything. If they could not see the difference between them and Zishang, then there was no need for them to continue living. "Master Gong, I still have something to do. Goodbye." Yi Jioga saw that the situation was extremely awkward and did not dare to stay any longer. Gong Shifan did not urge them to stay and directly sent them off. Chapter 235. Yi Jioga returned to the mansion gloomily. Seeing Zishang's lazy expression, she couldn't help but poke his chest angrily. How can I cooperate with Gong Shifan in the future, if you make our relationship so stiff? Although Zishang helped her teach those arrogant guys a lesson, she still had to think about the big picture. Other than Bailey Moyun and Nangongli, the others are useless. It's better to count on the bloodthirsty ancestor to surrender than count on them. Zishang shrugged and spread his hands. Alright, you're right. To be honest, Yi Jioga didn't have much hope for Wang Haoqiang and the other spiritualists. I forgot to ask about the change of surname. Zishang blinked. No need to ask, I'll solve it myself. Changing surname was just a small matter. The most important thing now was to inform Junichen and Yi Yu about the break with the Spiritualist Alliance. Junichen and Yi Yu came quickly after receiving the news. Hearing about the break with the Spiritualist Alliance, Junichen said expressionlessly, I never thought about counting on those useless people. Ever since he successfully refined the bloodthirsty ancestor's life essence, he was full of confidence in his revenge. He didn't need outsiders to participate. We have the same goal as the Spiritualist Alliance. There's no need to go against them. It's always good to have one more helper. Yi Yu's attitude was more conservative. That's right. That's why I want to send someone to go with Gong Shifan's team. The others will go with me to Blood Cloud Peak. Yi Jioga had the same attitude as Yi Yu. No matter how weak the Spiritualist Alliance was, they had to make good use of them. Don't call me, I'm not going. Junichen refused decisively. Young miss, I want to go with you. Yi Yu also quickly expressed. Yi Jioga was in a dilemma. He couldn't send Zishang. Actually, there's no need for that. Don't you have 3 goo worms? Just summon them if there's any movement. Junichen said indifferently. Use your life goo to summon them? Yi Jioga's eyes brightened. Other than my life goo, there's also your mother goo. You can summon them too. Junichen raised many batches of goo worms, but only one mother goo. This mother goo's charm was unimaginable. It was even more powerful than his life goo. If you didn't mention it, I would have forgotten about it. Yi Jioga suddenly realized. He opened the drawer and took out his specially made bag of spirit beasts. The bag was divided into 3 compartments. The leftmost one was the treasure-seeking scorpion couple. The middle one was the pink mother parasite, and the right one was the sleeping fat black rat. Yi Jioga took out the pink goo bug from the cloth bag and saw that its fat lower body had started to turn into a cocoon. Only its round little head was still sticking out. As soon as they saw Yi Jioga, they stretched out their necks and squeaked like little birds crying piteously for food. Master, I'm so hungry. Sorry, I forgot about you. Yi Jioga apologized as he crushed the cherry pill and fed it to it. The pink goo worm ate 20 cherry pills with a blissful expression before it reluctantly formed a pink cocoon with its round belly. It evolved so quickly. Junichen's eyes flashed with surprise. Is this good or bad? Yi Jioga had never raised a goo worm before, so he couldn't really tell the situation in front of him. Of course it's good. The reason why mother parasites are hard to cultivate is because they develop very slowly and have a high mortality rate. Normally, mother parasites need at least 5 years to be able to evolve. Yours evolved in less than half a month. You must have fed it something good. Junichen looked at Yi Jioga with an accusatory gaze. It was as if Yi Jioga had secretly left something good for the mother parasite. You saw it just now. I just fed it some cherry pills. Yi Jioga said innocently. Actually, she had already guessed that the pink mother goo's evolution was related to the fat black rat. The treasure-seeking scorpion thought that the bag was too small and wanted to bring its wife to a more comfortable place. However, the female scorpion said that living in the bag was very comfortable and that her internal injuries were much better. This bag was made of the most common cotton cloth, and there was nothing special about it. The only thing special about this place was the fat black rat that was in deep sleep. However, there was no need to tell Junichen about this. This purebred goo baby's life goal was to revive the blood cloak Miao tribe's glory. If he knew that the fat black rat could promote the evolution of goo worms, he would do anything to snatch it. You must have added something to it. Although Junichen was dissatisfied, He only grumbled and did not ask further. In his mind, Yi Joga was the world's #1 alchemist. It was not surprising that he could refine anything good. The mother parasite was his goo worm. It was normal to take care of it first. When will this little mother parasite complete its evolution? Yi Joga asked as he put the mother parasite's pink cocoon back into the bag. That's hard to say. It depends on its situation. Juni-chan did not dare to make a conclusion about the goo worms that Yi Joga raised. If that's the case, I can only rely on you to summon the 3 goo worms. However, be careful when you summon them. Don't let anyone find out. Yi Joga warned. It was immoral to privately control other people's goo worms. If Bailey Moyen and the rest knew about it, they would immediately abandon the 3 goo worms. Do I need you to tell me that? Juni-chan naturally knew that the goo worms that were sold could not be summoned randomly. Unless he had no other choice, he would not use this method. Hurry up and prepare. We'll leave in 3 days. Yi Joga said. All right. Yi Yu and Juni-chan nodded at the same time. They had been looking forward to this day. Blood Cloud Peak. Bloodthirsty ancestor called Skinny Monkey over and threw him a letter. Take a look. Yes. Skinny Monkey carefully opened the letter and quickly skimmed through it. This letter recorded the Spiritualist Alliance's every move in detail. It included the name list of their members, their respective sex, the time of departure, and even the pills and goo worms that Yi Joga sent. There was even a name written in red: Yi Zi. Killing Xiong Yunhu in one move in Alchemy City, after he consumed the blood pearl, showed that his strength was unfathomable. He could not be ignored. What do you think? Bloodthirsty ancestor closed his eyes and asked casually. This Gong Shifan has a high cultivation. Together with Yi Zi, I'm afraid they won't be easy to deal with. Skinny Monkey nervously replied. Actually, it wasn't just difficult to deal with. It was practically impossible to defend against. Skinny Monkey originally thought that with the mountain guarding formation, even if the Spiritualist Alliance attacked, they would not be able to return. He didn't expect them to have such a clear understanding of the mountain guarding formation, and even prepared pills and goo worms. If the mountain guarding formation was broken, no one would be able to resist. At the very least, he had already begun to ponder how to escape with Yi Yunji if the mountain guarding formation could not hold. In the end, Bloodthirsty sect was only a force established by Bloodthirsty ancestor alone. The disciples in the sect were uneven, and no one would risk their lives for the ancestor. Chapter 236. You don't need to worry about this. I have a way to deal with it. Tell the people to keep an eye on the protective formation. If anything goes wrong, I will use you to refine it. Bloodthirsty ancestor opened his eyes. His gaze was like lightning that could see through people's minds. Skinny Monkey shivered inwardly. He hurried to answer. Forefather, don't worry. I will keep an eye on the protective formation. Do it well. I won't mistreat you. Bloodthirsty ancestor nodded. After a while he asked, how's Su Junqing recently? Su Junqing has been very active in the sect. He has made friends everywhere. He has collected a lot of blood essences, so he has a lot of connections. He's generous. Bloodthirsty ancestor's dry face showed a strange smile. I also received his gift. Forefather, please take a look. Skinny Monkey took out a palm-sized glass bottle from his pocket and respectfully presented it to Bloodthirsty ancestor. The red liquid inside the glass bottle was very viscous. It was the essence of human blood. If he is so kind, then you should accept it. Bloodthirsty ancestor waved his hand. He didn't really like this kind of thing. Yes. Skinny Monkey put away the glass bottle with a smile. How is blood slave number 13? Bloodthirsty ancestor asked again. I don't know how to say it. Although Su Junqing treats blood slave number 13 well, he seems to be afraid of her. I don't know what's going on. Skinny Monkey and Yi Yunji were very secretive. He could pretend that he didn't know about the grudge between Su Junqing and Yi Yunji. Bloodthirsty ancestor didn't expect that Skinny Monkey would be so daring to covet his blood slave. Thus, he didn't notice anything strange. He just ordered, keep an eye on Su Junqing. All right, you can leave now. Yes. Skinny Monkey bowed and left. Bloodthirsty ancestor sat on the big chair. After pondering for a while, he patted the armrest and spun it. Immediately, a dark passage appeared under the chair. Bloodthirsty ancestor walked to the end of the dark passage. He saw a red platform that was half the height of a human. A skull as white as jade was placed on it. The top of the skull was lifted. There was a faint bloodstain on it. It was obvious that it was used often. Forefather Bloodthirsty bit his finger and squeezed some blood onto his skull. The eyes of the skull immediately flickered with 2 balls of fire, and a ball of light shot out from the top of the skull, hitting the opposite wall. In the light, a little boy wearing a black robe appeared. He looked to be about 5 or 6 years old. He looked quite cute, but his pair of dangling tips looked very arrogant. He looked very comical sitting on a red chair that was 3 times bigger than him. "Greetings, Elder Chio." Forefather Bloodthirsty bowed respectfully to the boy. "What business do you have with me?" the little boy asked impatiently. "Elder Chio, the people from the Spiritualist Alliance somehow heard that our bloodthirsty sect is cultivating blood lotuses. They've sent a small team to snatch them. I'm afraid that I'll delay Elder Chio's business, so I came to report." Bloodthirsty Forefather didn't dare to say that he had plotted against the City Lord of Alchemy City to attract this attack. Instead, he pushed all the blame onto the Spiritualist Alliance. F***ck. Those guys from the Spiritualist Alliance actually dared to covet my blood lotus. They are courting death. The little boy immediately flew into a rage and slammed the chair he was sitting on. He wanted nothing more than to rush out and kill the Spiritualist Alliance. "I've had a problem with my cultivation recently. The Spiritualist Alliance is coming at me fiercely, and I'm afraid I can't stop them. Please help me, Elder Chio," Bloodthirsty Forefather cried. He was just trying to coax Cho Senator. He hadn't been able to finish his cultivation perfectly last time, but it didn't affect him too much. Fighting the Spiritualist Alliance wasn't a problem. However, he had always been a sly old fox, so he naturally had to find help for such a difficult task. "No problem. I'll send someone to help right now. When the time comes, we'll capture the Spiritualist Alliance in one fell swoop. They'll be perfect fertilizer for my blood lotus," the little boy shouted arrogantly. "Then I'll wait for the envoy's arrival." Bloodthirsty Forefather was extremely excited and moved to tears. "Just you wait. They'll be here in 2 days at the latest." The little boy waved his hand, and the image immediately disappeared. Bloodthirsty Forefather finally straightened his back, a satisfied expression on his face. With Corp's sect's help, no matter how well prepared the Spiritualist Alliance was, they would still die. In Corp's sect, thousands of miles away, after Cho-sun closed the image with Bloodthirsty Forefather, he sent out a communication talisman and shouted, "Yue, come in." A moment later, a lazy voice came from outside Forefather Cho-sun's cave. "Elder, are you calling me?" "Yes, come in," Cho-sun responded. The stone door of the cave opened, and a fragrant wind wafted in. Then a beautiful woman walked in. It was Cho-sun's eldest disciple, Yue. She had a pair of limpid eyes, and when she looked at people, it was as if she wanted to see into their hearts. She wore a dark red chest-length dress, revealing a large portion of her fair skin, and was full of charm. Although Cho-sun had turned into a child because of his cultivation technique, he still admired women like a grown man. He really liked this charming eldest disciple. Disciple greets elder. "What instructions does elder have for disciple?" Yue bowed, and the deep cleavage on her chest dazzled people's eyes. "Go to Blood Cloud Peak and bring back the blood lotuses. Also take care of Bloodthirsty Forefather," Cho-sun ordered calmly. At this moment, he did not have any of his previous irritable appearance, and was terrifyingly cold. "Blood Cloud Peak, that place is so far." Yue looked at Cho-sun with resentment, and said coquettishly, "Disciple made this trip on behalf of Forefather. If Forefather does not have any instructions, Disciple will not comply. Besides the 3 blood lotuses, everything in Blood Cloud Peak is yours." Cho-sun waved his hand generously. "Thank you, Elder." Yue immediately showed a fawning and obedient smile. Bloodthirsty Forefather had operated in Thunder Nation for a long time, and should have accumulated many good things. She would not suffer a loss on this trip. I will send a demon corpse to go with you, Cho-sun said, and then made a hand seal. A tall man appeared silently behind him. His curly black hair draped over his back, and his handsome face was as pale as a corpse. His empty eyes emitted a terrifying aura. However, the strangest thing was his ears. They were furry, and looked exactly like a wolf's ears. As expected, Elder dotes on Yue the most. Yue looked at the demon corpse, and was extremely satisfied with this mission. It was as if she was taking good things for free. Make sure to clean up the scene, and do not leave any evidence. Cho-sun took out a token carved from white bones, and threw it to Yue. Yue quickly caught the token to control the demon corpse, and said respectfully, "Rest assured, Elder. Disciple will definitely complete the mission." "Alright, go." Cho-sun waved his hand indifferently. Yue left with the demon corpse. Chapter 237. Inside Blood Cloud Peak. After Bloodthirsty Ancestor received Elder Cho-sun's promise, he spread this news throughout the sect. The Bloodthirsty sect disciples were in an uproar. They never knew that Bloodthirsty Ancestor was related to the Corpse sect. That was one of the 5 great sects of the Demon sect, famous for their control of corpses. Compared to the Yin Corpse sect, the Thunder Country Spiritualist Alliance was nothing. After this news came out, the entire Bloodthirsty sect felt honored. The previously shaken morale quickly stabilized. Everyone rubbed their fists, wanting to perform well in front of the Corpse sect elders. Su Junqing was also very excited when he heard this news. These large sects usually only operated in Great Spirit City. It was almost impossible to see them in a small place like Thunder Country. He did not think that Bloodthirsty sect would be able to get in touch with them. If he could use Bloodthirsty sect as a springboard to enter the Corpse sect, he would soar. At that time, it would not be difficult to become a spirit master, or even a spirit king, let alone a spirit master. When he was successful, the Dongfang family, Spirit Alliance, and Bloodthirsty Ancestor would all kneel at his feet and beg for mercy. When Su Junqing thought of Bloodthirsty Ancestor, it was like a bucket of cold water was poured over his heart. It was already good that Bloodthirsty Ancestor would spare his life. It was impossible for him to recommend him into the Corpse sect. No, he had to think of a way to seize this opportunity. He heard that the helper sent by the Corpse sect was a woman. If he planned it well, he might have some hope. 2 days later, Blood Cloud Peak was very lively. The hall was decorated and filled with good food and wine. The blood slaves, who usually wore revealing red muslin, all changed into simple and conservative blue cotton dresses to act as maids. The other Bloodthirsty sect disciples were ordered to rest in their own rooms, to avoid offending the nobles of the Corpse sect. Bloodthirsty Ancestor brought Skinny Monkey and other trusted subordinates to the hall with Yue. "Lady Emissary, the banquet is ready. We are just waiting for you to take a seat. Our place is simple. If there is anything lacking, please forgive us, Emissary," Bloodthirsty Ancestor said respectfully. "Forefather Bloodthirsty, you're too polite. You've worked hard for Elder Chiu in the Thunder Nation. Elder Chiu misses you a lot." Yue smiled appropriately. Today, she was wearing a cherry red dress and a light red veil. She didn't want to give even a piece of her skin to a country bumpkin like Bloodthirsty Forefather. The demon corpse standing behind her was wearing a large black cloak that covered its head, completely covering its appearance and figure. "It is my honor to be able to work for Elder Cho Sr. Please put in a few good words for me in front of Elder Cho Sr." While talking, Forefather Bloodthirsty presented the gift he had prepared carefully. It was a bottle of extremely pure blood essence pellets. This blood essence pill was a good thing. It could nourish one's essence chi and speed up one's cultivation speed. It also had an additional effect on demonic cultivation techniques. Even Yue rarely saw such a good thing. "You're too kind, Patriarch." Yue accepted it without hesitation. Seeing Yue accept his gift, Bloodthirsty Forefather smiled even more happily. While Yue and the others were heading to the hall, a white shadow suddenly dashed out of the passage next to them. It was Su Junqing. "How dare you?" Bloodthirsty Forefather frowned and scolded him. He had specifically asked his disciples to watch Su Junqing. How could he let him run away? Forefather, please don't be angry. Disciple suddenly smelled a delicate fragrance in the passage. My mind was confused, so I went the wrong way. Please forgive me, Forefather. Su Junqing hurried to bow to bloodthirsty Forefather. His handsome face showed fear. Delicate fragrance, my ass. Do you think I'm a 3-year-old? Bloodthirsty Forefather sneered and ordered. Guards, take him away. He had kept Su Junqing alive to stabilize the morale of his troops. Now that the Een Corp's sex people were here, Su Junqing was useless. He could be used as a blood fertilizer. Brother Su, do you want to walk by yourself? Or do you want us to hold you down? The thin monkey-like man smiled and walked forward. Forefather, I was attracted by the fragrance. Su Junqing acted as if he didn't know that a disaster was about to befall him. He explained to bloodthirsty Forefather with a serious face. I've never smelled such a mesmerizing fragrance in my life. That woman must be a goddess. If I can see her, I'm willing to die. What nonsense are you talking about? Take him away. Bloodthirsty Forefather didn't want to listen to Su Junqing's nonsense. The thin monkey-like man and the others dashed toward Su Junqing like wolves and tigers. They wanted to drag him away. At this moment, Si Yue, who had been silent all this time, suddenly opened her mouth. Stop. The thin monkey-like man's heart sank. He hurried to look at bloodthirsty Forefather. Great messenger, my disciple had an accident while cultivating. His mind is muddled. If he offended you, please forgive him. Bloodthirsty Forefather hurried to explain to Si Yue. Really? I think your disciple isn't bad. Si Yue's ambiguous eyes fell on Su Junqing. Su Junqing was wearing a white robe with wide sleeves. He was tall and elegant, and his eyes were full of love. He smiled before he said anything, which was unforgettable. Especially when he was set off by the ugly disciples of bloodthirsty sect. He was like the rising sun. He was the type that Si Yue liked the most. If Great Messenger is interested, I will definitely arrange a better one for you. Bloodthirsty Forefather felt that something was wrong when he saw Si Yue's eyes, but he still wanted to save him. This Su Junqing was too cunning. He wasn't on the same side as him. If he really made a connection with Si Yue, it wouldn't be good for him. No need. It's him. Si Yue looked at bloodthirsty Forefather and said with a faint smile. Forefather, are you reluctant? Haha, what are you talking about? Forget about a disciple. If Great Messenger wants my bloodthirsty sect, I will give it to you with both hands. Bloodthirsty Forefather pretended to laugh heartily. He still needed to rely on Si Yue to deal with the people of the Spiritualist Alliance. How could he fall out with Su Junqing? Skinny Monkey watched anxiously from the side and wanted to stab Su Junqing. However, he also knew that it was impossible to play tricks in front of the Een Corp's sect messenger. So he immediately changed his attitude. He helped Su Junqing pat the non-existent dirt off his body and said with a flattering smile, Brother Su, please don't take it to heart if I offended you just now. Big brother Skinny Monkey is too polite. Su Junqing gently smiled at Skinny Monkey and then shyly stood next to Si Yue. He said meekly and gratefully, Thank you, Great Messenger, for helping me out. What's the use of just saying thanks? Don't you have anything to say? Si Yue narrowed her eyes. Her slender, white, jade-like fingers lightly pinched Su Junqing's chin. Her pinky finger even touched his Adam's apple ambiguously. Her teasing method was very experienced. Chapter 238. Su Junqing just smiled shyly, looking like a virgin who didn't understand love. He knew very well that Si Yue, a demon who had killed countless men, liked men who were young on the top and brave on the bottom. Although he had successfully attracted Si Yue's attention, he still had to perform tonight to get close to her. Si Yue's heart itched from Su Junqing's teasing. She was no longer in the mood to deal with Ancestor Bloodthirsty. After drinking a few glasses of wine at the banquet, she took Su Junqing to rest with the excuse that she was tired from the journey. Ancestor Bloodthirsty watched Si Yue and Su Junqing leave, his eyes darkening. He dismissed the blood slave and the other disciples, leaving only Skinny Monkey behind. You'll have to work hard tonight. Keep an eye on Su Junqing. When they're done, find a chance to kill him. Ancestor Bloodthirsty did not dare to openly oppose Si Yue. But if he could kill Su Junqing in private, he believed that Si Yue would not turn against him. This subordinate understands. Skinny Monkey nodded quickly. He had been worried that the ancestor would let Su Junqing go, but now he was relieved. Be careful. Don't let Si Yue find out, Ancestor Bloodthirsty warned. Although Skinny Monkey's hiding skills were very good, there was no guarantee that nothing would go wrong. This subordinate understands. Skinny Monkey bowed, then left the hall and entered the secret passage. He quietly came to the room prepared for Si Yue. He could only hear the sounds of moaning coming from inside. In just a short while, Si Yue and Su Junqing had already done it. Su Junqing dared to seduce Si Yue because he was confident in his skills in bed. When he was cultivating the bewitching art, he had also cultivated a special technique called the Golden Spear Unfalling Attack. This technique could keep his yang energy from leaking even if he slept with 10 women in one night. This way, he would not have to worry about being sucked dry. Su Junqing used all his skills to deal with Si Yue, checking her body from top to bottom. Si Yue had only thought of Su Junqing as a pastime. She did not expect his skills to be so good. His nimble lips and hot hands made her confused. Her body was on fire, and she could not stop. Skinny Monkey squatted in the secret room, listening to the silver sound surf. This sound that could make a person's blood boil had no effect on him. All he could think of was how to kill Su Junqing. Skinny Monkey waited quietly. He didn't expect Su Junqing to be so brave. After working for an entire night, he didn't show any signs of fatigue. Furthermore, his tricks were endless, tormenting Si Yue to the point where she was hovering between life and death. In the end, she had to beg for her husband's mercy in a hoarse voice. With Si Yue's status, Su Junqing was only qualified to carry her shoes. Who would have thought that she would actually call Su Junqing husband? Although it was only in bed, from her sweet and seductive voice, it was obvious that she had been conquered by Su Junqing's skills in bed. This was not good. If Si Yue really took Su Junqing under her skirt, she might bring him back to the Embark sect. Sure enough, Su Junqing took advantage of Si Yue's confusion and began to coax her with all kinds of sweet words, begging her to take him back to the Embark sect. Sweetheart, don't worry. I will definitely bring you back. Si Yue's eyes were like silk as she ruthlessly pinched Su Junqing's naked chest. She had tormented Su Junqing quite a bit when she was feeling good just now. Su Junqing was also a capable person. In order to achieve his goal, this little injury was nothing at all. He sorrowfully talked about his situation in the bloodthirsty sect, and finally sighed. The bloodthirsty ancestor has already decided to kill me. Even you might not be able to protect me here. Hearing this, Si Yue's pretty face instantly became angry. She shouted, he dares. Su Junqing was a rare beauty. Before she was tired of playing with him, no one should even think about touching him. He is much more daring than you think. Su Junqing bit Si Yue's earlobe. His hands did not stop moving. Si Yue had to admit that Su Junqing was right. The bloodthirsty ancestor was indeed very daring. Elder Cho's son had arranged for him to collect blood to cultivate the blood lotus. But he had used his position to gather a group of disciples to go around killing people for his own benefit. Now, he had even attracted the pursuit of the Spiritualist Alliance. He thought that he had done it secretly, but in reality, his every move was under Elder Cho-sen's eyes. Now that Elder Cho's son had given the order to eradicate Blood Cloud Peak, everyone had to die. This way, it was not suitable for his heart to stay here, in case he was accidentally injured. Si Yue immediately made a decision. With a wave of her hand, the storage bag on the ground flew into her hand. She took out a black token from inside and said to Su Junqing, "Since that's the case, you can go to the Embark sect first. With this token, you can become an outer sect disciple. I'll come find you after I'm done here." Okay. Su Junqing was ecstatic, but his face was still calm. He casually placed the token on the side of the bed, then flipped over and pressed down on Si Yue. Immediately, he felt another wave of absurdity. Hiding in the secret room, Skinny Monkey felt his heart turn cold. Su Junqing had actually hooked up with Si Yue, and had even obtained the token to enter the Embark sect. How could a deranged beast like him be so lucky? Was it because he was handsome and good in bed? This Si Yue was also a slut. She had been so easily conquered by Su Junqing. Sooner or later, she would be killed by Su Junqing. Skinny Monkey's heart was filled with hatred, but he knew that he could not kill Su Junqing here. Right now, Su Junqing had reached the sky in one step, but the most dangerous one was Yi Yunji. He had to think of a way to save her. Not far from the secret room was Su Junqing's cave. On the simple and crude stone table, the lit candle had already left a thick layer of wax on the table. Yi Yunji was restlessly pacing back and forth in the cave. From time to time, she would look at the door of the cave. Su Junqing had not returned for the whole night, and she did not know what had happened. Of course, she was not worried about Su Junqing's safety, but worried that Su Junqing would break away from her plan. Since the old ancestor had bestowed her to Su Junqing, she had been inciting Su Junqing to go against the old ancestor. She could see that Su Junqing really wanted to do something. She had been patiently waiting for the day Su Junqing would destroy himself. But last night, Su Junqing suddenly left without a word. She did not know what he was going to do, which made her feel very uneasy. Just when Yi Yunji was burning with anxiety, the door of the cave finally opened. Chapter 239. Su Junqing Yu? Yi Yunji thought it was Su Junqing. She didn't expect it to be Skinny Monkey. She looked at the anxious Skinny Monkey and asked in surprise, "Brother Skinny Monkey, why are you here?" "Come with me, I'll explain later." Skinny Monkey rushed up and wanted to take Yi Yunji away. "Where are you taking me?" Yi Yunji avoided him and asked with a frown. Su Junqing got close to Ying Corp's sex emissary Si Yue. He will become Ying Corp's sex disciple soon. Skinny Monkey hurriedly told her what happened. Yi Yunji's beautiful face became extremely pale. Her body shook, and she couldn't help but take 2 steps back. Her lower back hit the table, but she didn't feel anything. Why was it like this? How could it be like this? She endured the humiliation and tried her best to send him to hell. But he easily went to heaven and left her struggling in the swamp. She couldn't accept it, she really couldn't. "Yunji, Su Junqing doesn't even care about the bloodthirsty ancestor. I'm afraid he will harm you. You should leave first." Skinny Monkey couldn't think of any way to protect Yi Yunji, so he could only send her away. "Where can I go?" Yi Yunji smiled sadly. She still had the bloodthirsty ancestor's blood soul flower on her. If she left the blood cloud mountain, the bloodthirsty ancestor would know immediately. If she was caught, she would die even more miserably. "I have a way to temporarily seal the blood soul flower. Now the people from the Spiritualist Alliance are rushing over here. If you go to them, they won't make things difficult for you." This was the escape route that Skinny Monkey had thought of for Yi Yunji. Yi Yunji was a blood slave, not an evil cultivator. She was a pitiful person who was harmed by the bloodthirsty sect. The Spiritualist Alliance was known for their righteousness, so they wouldn't trouble a pitiful girl. "What about you?" Yi Yunji looked up at Skinny Monkey. What he did was the same as betraying the bloodthirsty ancestor. The Spiritualist Alliance wouldn't believe an evil cultivator like him. If he didn't please both sides, he would die. "Don't worry about me. I have a way to escape. You just need to live well." Skinny Monkey grinned. Unlike his usual fawning, flattery and hypocrisy, this smile came from the bottom of his heart. It made his slightly ugly face look much more pleasing to the eye. "What can you do?" Yi Yunji murmured. She had stayed in the Blood Cloud Peak for a long time, so she naturally knew what the Skinny Monkey was capable of. He had risked his life to save her. Yi Yunji knew that Shouho liked her, but she didn't expect that he would be willing to die for her. Yi Yunji suddenly felt a little ashamed when she thought of how she had been using Skinny Monkey's feelings to save her own life. She couldn't afford to owe him anything. Moreover, she understood Forefather Bloodthirsty's tricks. Even if Skinny Monkey risked his life to save her, he couldn't send her out safely. Since that was the case, there was no need to drag him down with her. Thinking of this, Yi Yunji's eyes turned red. She said with a sad expression, "Brother Skinny Monkey, you don't have to be so nice to me. In fact, I've been using you. I'm not a good person. Unexpectedly, Skinny Monkey-like interrupted her abruptly and said matter-of-factly, "You have no one to rely on here. How can you survive if you don't make use of others? Alright, let's not talk anymore. Right now, Forefather is focused on Siyue. He doesn't have time for us. Let's go." Skinny Monkey-like urged Yi Yunji again. Yi Yunji stared blankly at Skinny Monkey-like, then nodded and stood up. Skinny Monkey-like immediately went to open the stone door, but a sharp pain came from his neck. His eyes rolled back, and he fell to the ground with a thud. Yi Yunji's hand flashed, and she quickly sealed several of Skinny Monkey-like's major acupuncture points. She murmured, "Brother Skinny Monkey, I'm sorry." After that, she quietly sent Skinny Monkey-like out, then returned to the cave room. She even fetched a basin of water and carefully groomed herself. Then, she combed her long black hair into a snake bun, which was Su Junqing's favorite hairstyle. Then she quietly sat by the table, waiting for Su Junqing to come back. She wanted to completely end things with him. After the time it took to drink a cup of tea, the door opened again. Su Junqing walked in with weak steps, and he immediately saw Yi Yunji waiting for him by the table. The candlelight flickered in the room, illuminating Yi Yunji's soft and beautiful face. "You're back," Yi Yunji softly called out, then walked toward Su Junqing. Su Junqing's expression was a little startled. He couldn't help but recall the time when he and Yi Yunji got married. She always waited for him to come back before she was willing to sleep. His cold heart was a little shaken. In fact, when Su Junqing seduced Yi Yunji, he was a little bit sincere. Otherwise, he wouldn't have married her in the Zhuangzi and made her pregnant. When he annihilated the Yi family, he also hesitated. But when he thought of the bloodthirsty ancestors' methods, he had to do it. In the end, it was the bloodthirsty ancestors' fault. But now it was no longer important. He had already entered the Yin Corpse sect with Yi Yunji's support. In the future, when he succeeded in his cultivation, he would definitely use the bloodthirsty ancestors' head to beg for Yi Yunji's forgiveness. Su Junqing pushed all the blame to the bloodthirsty ancestor, and he imagined that he could make up with Yi Yunji. He even opened his arms, ready to embrace Yi Yunji. At this time, Yi Yunji's eyes flashed with a sharp light, and the spirit power that she had been accumulating for a long time suddenly erupted. Her right hand glowed with a gray spirit light that reached her fingers. Her short red nails suddenly expanded, and like 5 sharp knives, they stabbed into Su Junqing's chest. Yi Yunji came from a family of assassins after all. She was determined to hit this close to her. The red nails, shining with a faint gray light, stabbed into Su Junqing's chest. Yi Yunji was happy, but she didn't think that Su Junqing's body would suddenly emit a ball of golden light that bounced off her fingers. Yi Yunji's body kept retreating, and she only stopped when she hit the table. She looked at Su Junqing in disbelief. Vajra body protection talisman? Did he prepare for it? Su Junqing looked down at the 5 holes in his chest, and his expression suddenly became very ferocious. He said fiercely, "Yunji, you're really cruel." If he didn't have the Vajra body protection talisman that Siyue had just given him, he was afraid that Yi Yunji would have succeeded. "If you want to kill me or cut me, do as you please," Yi Yunji said with a wooden expression. Her spirit power had been used up, and she had no more strength to fight back. "How could I bear to kill you?" Su Junqing walked over with a sinister smile. He forcefully lifted Yi Yunji's chin, as if he wanted to see the expression on her face. Yi Yunji closed her eyes. She didn't want to see Su Junqing's savage expression. She thought sorrowfully, this is all fate. She was destined to be deceived and betrayed by Su Junqing. No matter what, she couldn't win against him. Su Junqing opened his mouth and bit Yi Yunji's slender white neck. He swore, "Don't worry. Even if I go to hell, I will take you with me." Chapter 240. Yi Yunji was in danger, but Yi did not know about the changes in Bloodthirsty sect. He was discussing the route to Blood Cloud Peak with Luo Tian and Juni Chen. There are no signs of human habitation within 100 miles of Blood Cloud Peak, and water is scarce. We can go to Bloodcloak Miao's former encampment. It's only 10 miles away from Blood Cloud Peak, and it's very convenient to monitor. Luo Tian gestured on the map he drew. Will bloodthirsty sects send people to monitor that place? Yi was slightly worried. That place is already in ruins, they won't waste manpower to monitor it. Junichen said coldly, it would be better if there was someone, he could use it to sacrifice his natal gu. Alright, let's go take a look. Yi Jioga was not familiar with Blood Cloud Peak, and could only trust Junichen and Luo Tian. Missy, should we inform the Spiritualist Alliance? Yi felt it was more prudent. No need. Yi Jioga saw Yi Yu's disapproving expression, and explained, there is a spy in the Spiritualist Alliance. Telling them is the same as telling bloodthirsty ancestor. There is a spy in the Spiritualist Alliance, who is it? Yi Yu was surprised. I don't know. Yi Jioga shook his head, and helplessly pointed at Zishang, who was sitting on a chair eating a cherry pill, and said, this guy refuses to say. Yi Yu secretly glanced at Zishang. He could not figure out the background of this expert guard who suddenly appeared. She was so beautiful, but her presence was extremely low. Basically, if he did not speak, people would unconsciously ignore his existence. Just this point alone made Yi Yu, who walked in the shadows, feel afraid. Anyway, it's not the few with gu worms. Zishang mercifully rewarded them. What's the difference between saying and not saying? Yi Jioga rolled his eyes. Gong Shifan had 15 subordinates, excluding the 3 with gu worms. There were 12 people left. How could they guess with such a large range? Who cares who the spy is, as long as we don't have one here? Junichen said straightforwardly. Yes, since we know they have a spy, we might be able to make use of it. Luo Tian also quickly thought of various countermeasures. We'll talk about it later. Let's set off first, and try to reach your encampment in 3 days. Yi Jioga immediately made the decision. They had long made their preparations. That afternoon they traveled swiftly all the way. Finally 3 days later they successfully arrived at the blood-clothed Miao people's encampment. The valley in front of him was a mess. The trees were withered, and there were no traces of people living here. Junichen and Luo Tian stood high up on the hillside, staring blankly at everything in front of them. Their minds flashed back to that bloody night. The people of Bloodthirsty sect rushed in crazily, killing everyone they saw, regardless of whether they were men or women, old or young. In the end, it was the old patriarch who sacrificed himself to carve out a path of blood for them. Are they all right? Yi Jioga softly asked Yi Yu. What if Junichen and Luo Tian were heartbroken and went to Blood Cloud Peak to fight Ancestor Bloodthirsty? They'll be fine. Yi Yu shook his head. He and Junichen were in a similar situation. They were also exterminated by the Bloodthirsty sect, and they also wanted to take revenge. This was also the reason why Junichen was willing to accept Yi Yu even though he hated martial artists. You don't have to worry too much. Since we're already here, we'll definitely save your sister. Yi Jioga patted Yi Yu's shoulder comfortingly. Yi Yu nodded heavily. He had already endured for so long, he was not in a hurry. At this moment, the atmosphere was filled with sadness and determination. However, there was a voice that spoiled the mood. This sovereign is hungry. Didn't you just eat half a bottle of cherry pills? Why are you so hungry so quickly? Are you a pig? Yi Jioga glared at Zishang unhappily. Before leaving Shangjing, she was forced by Zishang to refine a few cauldrons of cherry pills. The refined pills were directly stored in a pot. Zishang would chew noisily when he had nothing to do, and he still had the cheek to say he was hungry. A pig will not help you fight, Zishang said very seriously. Yes. You're a pig that knows how to fight. Yi Jioga was no longer in the mood to comfort Junichen and the others after being disturbed by Zishang. He called out, it's getting late. Let's find a place to rest. This way. Junichen quickly calmed down and led Yi Jioga and the others into a remote cave. After a few turns, they finally arrived at a spacious cave room. The stone walls of the cave room were filled with densely packed holes, and there was a small dry pond beside it. It looked rather desolate. This is our clan's sacred ground. Junichen looked sadly at the holes in the stone wall. It used to be filled with gu seeds. After Bloodthirsty sect broke through, the clan leader killed all the gu seeds. The pond beside it was used to baptize newborns and plant gu seeds. This place was very hidden. Bloodthirsty sex people did not discover it. It was absolutely safe. I see. After Yi Jioga accompanied Junichen for a while, she took out the prepared rations and told everyone to rest. As they ate, they discussed the next step of the plan. I want to go to Bloodthirsty sect to check it out tonight. It would be best if I can find out where the formation eye of their protective formation is, Yi Jioga said seriously. Bloodthirsty sect's protective formation was very powerful. Even with the pill she refined, it would be difficult to pass through. The best way was to destroy the formation eye and completely cripple it. If we can find my sister, we can get a lot of information. Know yourself and know your enemy, and you will never be defeated. Yi Yu agreed with this plan. Alright, we'll split up. Yi Zi and I will go find the formation eye. You guys go find Sister Yi Yu. Yi Jioga quickly decided on the plan. Yi Yu, Luo Tian, and Junichen all agreed. Zishang ate the cherry pill without a care. It was midnight, and everything was quiet except for the sounds of insects and frogs. Yi Jioga and the others left the Blood Cloak Miao's sacred ground and silently made their way to Blood Cloud Peak. Blood Cloud Peak was covered in a faint red mist in the night. Although the protective formation was not activated, defensive formations were everywhere. Especially after Bloodthirsty sect's ancestor killed the Blood Cloak Miao's people. He collected many poisonous snakes and insects to strengthen his defense. Many dangers were hidden under the seemingly ordinary grass. However, with Junichen and Luo Tian here, they were not a threat. Yi Jioga and the others carefully avoided the patrolling disciples and finally reached the foot of Blood Cloud Peak. Bloodthirsty sect's ancestor penetrated the entire Blood Cloud Peak and set up countless caves as the base of Bloodthirsty sect. The leftmost area was where the disciples rested and cultivated. In the middle was the 100-flower palace where Bloodthirsty sect's ancestor had fun. The rightmost area was where Bloodthirsty sect's ancestor rested, which was also Bloodthirsty sect's forbidden area. According to the information from Bloodthirsty sect's ancestor's blood, Junichen told Yi Jioga with certainty, the formation eye of the protective formation is in the forbidden area on the right. Chapter 241. Alright, Yi Zi and I will go to the right. You guys go to the middle. Once we succeed, retreat. Call for help if we encounter danger, Yi Jioga said to Yi Yu. Alright. Yi Yu nodded. His body flickered with a gray light, and he hid in the shadows. Junichen's body also emitted a black shadow made of tiny goo worms. After it covered his body, it spread to Luo Tian. The three of them disappeared. Give me an invisibility talisman. Yi Jioga turned to Zishang. Zishang directly drew an invisibility talisman on Yi Jioga. This talisman could not deal with experts like Bloodthirsty Ancestor, but it was enough to fool ordinary disciples. After Yi Jioga and Zishang concealed themselves, they walked along the dark tunnel to the right. Bloodthirsty sect probably did not expect someone to be so daring as to sneak into their lair, so they were very relaxed. Yi Jioga and Zishang only met two patrol teams along the way. None of them noticed Yi Jioga and Zishang, who had passed by them in a stealthy manner, as they yawned. The two arrived at the forbidden area without a hitch. Trespassers will die. 4 bloody words were painted on the stone walls, exuding a terrifying murderous intent. Zishang did not even look at it. He pulled Yi Jioga into the forbidden area. What they saw were countless closed stone doors. They went up and down like a maze. Where are we going? Yi Jioga felt dizzy with just one glance. If they searched room by room, they would not be able to find them even at dawn. Bloodthirsty sect's guard was lax, but they would find them sooner or later. These rooms are arranged according to the formation to confuse people. The formation eye is not a treasure. I can't see it. Zishang shook his head. The formation eye was a dead object, no different from a stone. No matter how powerful his eye technique was, he could not distinguish it. Treasure. Yi Jioga's eyes lit up. He remembered Junichen saying that Bloodthirsty Ancestor treasured the blood lotus very much. He was growing it near the formation eye. As long as we find the blood lotus, we can find the formation eye. Yi Jioga thought of this, and hurriedly called out to his treasure-seeking scorpion. Master, what are your orders? Treasure-seeking scorpion crawled out of the cloth bag with difficulty. It had been eating and drinking well with Yi Jioga. It did not have to do any work to protect its wife. It had become a sausage. Can you help me find the blood lotus? Yi Jioga looked worriedly at the scorpion's fat waist. He was worried that it could not run. Blood lotus is a piece. The treasure-seeking scorpion waved its pincers and pointed to the east without hesitation. It's behind that cave. Are you sure? Yi Jioga raised his eyebrows. Even Zishang couldn't see through it. But this treasure-seeking scorpion found it in an instant. Of course, I have lived here with Lu Yunfei for many years. I know these blood lotuses like the back of my hand. Right now there are a total of 3. In 5 days they will bloom. The treasure-seeking scorpion proudly said as it stuck out its fat chest. Although Lu Yunfei seemed to respect forefather Bloodthirsty, she had been eyeing those blood lotuses. Every time Bloodthirsty ancestor cultivated, she would send treasure-seeking scorpion to check. The blood lotus was like a vegetable garden for treasure-seeking scorpion. Then do you know where the array is? Yi Jioga did not forget that they were here to destroy the array. Array? What is that? Is it edible? Treasure-seeking scorpion was confused. Let's go. Take us to the blood lotus. Yi Jioga knew that he could not place too much hope on treasure-seeking scorpion. Let's go. Treasure-seeking scorpion's fat body landed on the ground. It was crawling quite fast. Yi Jioga and Purple Shang followed it to the cave where the blood lotus was being cultivated. They pushed the stone door, but it did not budge. The mechanism is here. Purple Shang pointed at a dark corner of the cave and said, "Be careful not to touch that shrieking grass." Yi Jioga looked carefully and saw a bunch of grayish-green grass growing in the corner. It was one with the stone wall. If he did not look carefully, he would not have noticed it. This was Bloodthirsty Ancestor's little trap. The shrieking grass was connected. If one screamed, everyone screamed. If one accidentally pressed the button, it would immediately attract everyone's attention. Just as Purple Shang was about to show Yi Jioga how he could freeze the shrieking grass, Yi Jioga decisively took out a bag of poison powder from her pocket and ferociously scattered it at the shrieking grass. The shrieking grass did not even let out a fart before it turned into a pile of powder. Yi Jioga quickly pressed the button. The moment the door of the cave opened, she dashed in. Purple Shang silently retracted his finger and pretended that nothing had happened. He also followed her in. After the two entered, the door of the cave closed immediately. It was pitch black in front of them. They could not even see their own fingers. Zishang flicked a purple ball of light upward, illuminating the surroundings. They saw 3 pitch-black tunnels in front of them, like the open mouths of monsters. Which one is the real one? Yi Jioga asked treasure-seeking scorpion. The one in the middle is real. However, if you enter like this, you will have to pass through 49 traps before you can reach the pool of the blood lotus, treasure-seeking scorpion said. This was also the reason why Lu Yunfei did not dare to enter. The 49 traps were ingeniously designed. Even if they could pass through, they would definitely alarm the guards. The one in the middle leads to the blood lotus. What about the left and right? Yi Jioga asked. Junichen said that the blood lotus was near the eye of the formation. That meant that the one in the middle could be eliminated, leaving only the 2 on the left and right. I don't know. I have never seen it before. Treasure-seeking scorpion always went straight to its destination. Go and take a look, Yi Jioga ordered. Yes. Treasure-seeking scorpion's body flashed with yellow light and disappeared into the ground. After 5 minutes, it emerged from the ground with its face covered in dirt. It reported gloomily, "At the end of the left are the 13 stone pillars, and at the end of the right is the 1,000 poison cave." It was surrounded by those poisonous creatures when it emerged from the right. It almost couldn't escape. You have worked hard. Come back. Yi Jioga recalled treasure-seeking scorpion and asked Zishang. Which one? The left. Zishang said without hesitation. Then you go first. Yi Jioga stood behind Zishang. In such a dangerous place, this evildoer had to go first. Little guy, come in. Zishang looked at Yi Jioga with disdain. Then a light purple smoke came out of his body. Yi Jioga entered the purple smoke and realized that it was not as pungent as he had imagined. Instead, there was a faint fragrance. It was Zishang's smell. If not for the situation in front of him, this scene would be quite romantic. What nonsense are you thinking? Zishang reprimanded, as if Yi Jioge wanted to take advantage of him. Chapter 242. You're the one thinking nonsense. Hurry up and get in. Yi Jioge slapped Zishang's butt. Since Zishang wanted her to take advantage of him, she obviously couldn't let him down. Zishang grabbed Yi Jioge's right claw and narrowed his beautiful black eyes. Little guy, you want to rebel? Yi Jioge laughed and raised his right claw, looking like he was going to perform a monkey stealing a peach. You win. Zishang let go of Yi Jioge's claw and turned to enter the tunnel. Yi Jioge followed with satisfaction. This tunnel was very narrow, only allowing one person to pass through at a time. The ground was all made of gray stone. Zishang walked very casually, not caring about the tunnel at all. In comparison, Yi Jioge walked very cautiously. But after a few steps, she heard a clicking sound under her feet. Countless fine lights shot out from both sides of the tunnel, shooting towards them like arrows. If it was anyone else, they would have been shot full of holes by these lights. But Zishang's purple mist was not to be underestimated. It firmly blocked the lights outside. Go! Zishang continued forward, followed by another sound. Balls of thick pink mist spread in the tunnel. The smell of blood was pungent, but it was already blocked by the purple mist. It was a short tunnel, but it was filled with sword-light and poisonous creatures. If it wasn't for Zishang, Yi Jioge would have a hard time dealing with it alone. After much difficulty, he finally reached the end and saw 13 blood-red pillars erected in an orderly manner in the spacious cave. These blood-colored pillars were not made of stone or metal. They were carved with poisonous snakes and ferocious beasts. Light flowed between them. They were the formation eyes of the mountain protection formation. As long as they destroyed these pillars, they would be able to destroy the mountain protection formation. Yi Jioge tried to shoot a ray of spiritual light at one of the pillars. The pillar flashed slightly, and the streak of spiritual light was evenly distributed to the other 12 pillars. This way, they could only increase the power of their attacks and destroy all 13 pillars at the same time. There's not much time, let's attack together. Yi Jioge said as she pulled out the lightning snake illusionary whip at her waist. She injected spirit energy into it, and was about to hit the pillars. But Zishang grabbed her by the back of her collar and threw her back. Damn it! Yi Jioge was confused, and was about to curse when he saw a teleportation array appear in the middle of the pillars. Following that, a black shadow emerged from the teleportation formation, and charged at the spot, where she had just been standing with lightning speed. The attack it unleashed seemed to tear the air apart. If Zishang hadn't taken her away in time, she would have been torn in half on the spot. Since the black shadow's attack missed, its body rebounded and headed straight for Zishang. Zishang tossed Yi Jioge to the side, and light erupted from his right hand, condensing into a spear and stabbing towards the black shadow. With a loud bang, countless rays of light shot out. The black shadow was forced back a few steps by Zishang's spear, but it pounced forward at an even more terrifying speed. In the blink of an eye, it was locked in battle with Zishang. The two of them were locked in battle. Yi Jioge couldn't even see what the black shadow looked like. Zishang abruptly pulled himself away from the intense battle, and shot a ball of purplish-black light at Yi Jioge, enveloping her within. He hurriedly ordered, "Run!" Yi Jioge knew that he would be of no help even if he stayed, so he left the forbidden area without the slightest hesitation, and ran towards the Flower Palace. They had just entered, so Juni-chen and the others might not have found Yi Yunji yet, so she had to go and receive them. Along the way, she heard bloodthirsty sex commotion, shouting, "Enemy attack! Enemy attack!" However, they were running towards the forbidden area. There was no one in the Flower Palace's path, so Yi Jioge successfully rushed in. The moment she entered, she saw Juni-chen's gu attacking her. Yi Jioge hurriedly shouted, "It's me! Why are you here? Where's ZZ?" Half of Juni-chen's head popped out from the cave wall. The area below his neck was still hidden in the black shadow. "There's an ambush at the formation's core." Yeezy told us to leave first. Where are the others? Yi Joga said anxiously. Inside. Junie-chan didn't dare to say anything else, and hurriedly rushed into the flower palace with Yi Joga. Did you find Sister Yiyu? Yi Joga asked as she rushed. Not yet. They caught a disciple and are interrogating her. But the situation doesn't look good, Junie-chan said in a low voice. Although he was in charge of guarding the door, he could still vaguely know the situation inside through his gu observation. The flower palace was in a mess. More than 10 beautiful blood slaves were unconscious on the ground. Yiyu's eyes were bloodshot. He was strangling a skinny man and shouted angrily. This is impossible, I don't believe it. Luo Tianjing frowned and advised, calm down. Although the scene in front of her was somewhat out of Yi Joga's expectations, now was not the time to get to the bottom of things. She quickly walked forward and knocked the skinny man unconscious with a palm strike. Then she pushed Yiyu and said, the situation has changed, let's go. Although Yiyu was on the verge of losing control of his emotions, when he heard Yi Joga's words, he still turned around and left with her without hesitation. Junie-chan sent out 10 gu to scout ahead. The group followed behind him and prepared to avoid the bloodthirsty sect disciples. Soon, they rushed out of the chaotic blood cloud peak. Not good. They're going to activate the mountain protection formation. Let's go. Junie-chan suddenly shouted. Yi Joga turned around and saw red smoke rising from the middle of Blood Cloud Peak. It was surging towards them like a tide. Eat a pill. Yi Joga immediately swallowed a pill. Junie-chan and the rest ate as they ran forward at their fastest speed. Although they were fast, the mountain protection formation was activated even faster. Those blood mosquitoes were like fierce tigers released from their cages, gathering into a blood cloud and pouncing towards them. After Yi Joga consumed the pill, a layer of gray grease appeared on her body. Although those blood mosquitoes immediately died upon contact with the grease, they still continued to charge towards them and quickly stuck a thick layer on their bodies. The group was instantly covered in a layer of red armor, blocking the blood mosquitoes behind them. They're over there. The patrolling bloodthirsty sect disciples finally discovered Yi Joga and the rest. They commanded the venomous snakes and venomous insects to surround them, while launching countless sharp attacks at them. Multicolored shadows formed a huge net that enveloped Yi Joga and the rest from above. At the same time, a large patch of blood-colored vines rapidly grew in their path, obstructing their advance. Charge! Yi Joga shouted and pulled out her lightning snake illusion whip, fiercely swinging it forward. The purple light of the lightning snake illusion whip exploded, transforming into a malevolent python that roared and charged forward. The blood-colored vines were instantly torn apart, sending fragments flying all over the sky. Yi Joga made another hand seal, and the python turned and charged upwards. Although it could not break through the huge net formed by the shadows, it still bought Yi Joga and the rest some time. Junie-chan and the rest gritted their teeth and charged forward, finally rushing out of the huge net before it completely enveloped them. The bloodthirsty sect disciples wanted to continue chasing, but they were called back by bloodthirsty sect's ancestor. Don't chase a cornered enemy, ignore those small shrimps. Yi Joga felt that it was a pity. She had originally wanted to take the opportunity to capture a few captives to interrogate. She cautiously led Junie-chan and the rest in a few circles. After confirming that no one was following them, they returned to the bloodthirsty sect's sacred ground. Chapter 243. What happened at the eye of the formation? What happened to Sister Yiyu? Junie-chan and Yi Joga asked at the same time and stopped talking. After a while, Yiyu said in a hoarse voice, my sister was taken by Su Junxing to Corp's sect. Corp's sect? Yi Joga was shocked and quickly asked, how did the bloodthirsty ancestor get involved with Corp's sect? I don't know. Yiyu pulled his hair in pain, and his tired body slid down the wall. He had prepared for so long, but failed at the last moment. If only he had come to Blood Cloud Peak earlier. Unfortunately, there was no medicine for regret in this world. Seeing him like this, Yi Joga didn't have the heart to ask anymore, and looked at Luo Tian. Luo Tian had been with Yi Yu for a long time, and should know the relationship. It is said that the bloodthirsty ancestor's blood lotus was raised by Yin Corp's sect. The female emissary of Yin Corp's sect, Si Yue, brought a demon corpse to help Yin Corp's sect fight against the Spiritualist Alliance. Su Junqing sold his body to the female emissary, and got the token to enter Yin Corp's sect, and left with sister Yi Yu. However, we need to capture a few more disciples of Yin Corp's sect to confirm whether this information is true or not. Luo Tian said carefully, "That information is true." Yi said painfully, "How can you be sure?" Luo Tian frowned, and felt that Yi was too pessimistic. "I found this wood carving from Skinny Monkey. It was made by my sister. That Skinny Monkey should be someone she trusted a lot." Yi took out a lifelike monkey wood carving from his belt. "How do you know that your sister made this wood carving?" Yi Jioga picked it up, and looked at it carefully. He didn't find anything special. "This was carved with our Yi family's special technique. Hold it and press on your hand." Yi Yu signaled Yi Jioga to press on the bottom of the monkey wood carving. Yi Jioga tried and found that the smooth bottom made a Yi character on her hand. "Then what do you plan to do now?" Yi Jioga returned the monkey wood carving to Yi Yu. Yi Yu was confused. When Su Junqing gave his sister to the bloodthirsty ancestor, he always believed that he could save her. But now Su Junqing brought his sister to Yin Corp's sect. That is an evil sect that is famous for controlling corpses. "I'm afraid my sister's life is in danger this time." Even if his sister was still alive, he had no way to save her. Although everyone knew that the Yin Corp's sect was built on top of the Devil Sect mountain, none of the Righteous Path people dared to go there. That was because it was the Devil Sect's territory, a forbidden area for spiritualists. Let's talk about it later. We should think about how to deal with Bloodthirsty Forefather and the Yin Corp's sect's emissary first. Luo Tian said calmly, "If we can capture that messenger, we might be able to exchange for your sister." "You're right." Skinny Monkey said that the female emissary's cultivation is only at Pseudo-Spirit Master. Yi Yu's dark eyes immediately lit up. This method was much more reliable than sneaking into the Yin Corp's sect. The envoys of the Yin Corp's sect probably won't be so easy to capture. Yi Jioga thought of the black shadow that had suddenly appeared in the eye of the array. That should be the demon corpse that Si Yue had brought. This demon corpse's speed was shockingly fast. Even Zishang couldn't easily take it down, let alone them. "We have to catch him even if it's not easy," Junichen said. The helpers of the bloodthirsty forefather were his enemies. He had to kill them all. Yi Jioga was just about to tell them about how scary the demon corpse was when a small sound came from outside the cave. "Who is it?" Junichen immediately released his goo. "It's easy." Yi Jioga already smelled the fragrance on Zishang's body. Just as she finished speaking, Zishang appeared beside her in one piece. His clothes were clean and his hair was neat. He didn't look like he had been beaten to a pulp. Yi Jioga let out a sigh of relief and asked, "Was that black shadow a demon corpse?" "Yes." Zishang nodded with a dark face. As a member of the devil race, he felt very uncomfortable seeing half of his fellow sect members being refined into puppets. "Then do you have a way to deal with it?" Yi Jioga asked again. "That demon corpse is equivalent to a middle spirit master. It would take a lot of effort to kill it. It's not worth it. Zishang naturally could kill it. But after killing it, his devil chi would be used up. If something happened to Yi Jioga, it would be hard for him to take care of her. Zishang wouldn't do something that would make him lose money. To him, the blood lotus and the treasure map were all fake. Only Yi Jioga's life was real." Yi Jioga thought about it and asked Zishang, "Can we not kill it and just trap it?" "Yes." Zishang nodded. Although the demon corpse was fierce, it didn't have intelligence. It was possible to trap it. "Miss, did you think of a way?" Yi Yu asked with anticipation. "I do have a way, but it's not enough with just us. We need the help of the Spiritualist Alliance." Yi Jioga nodded. This matter was related to Yin Corp's sect. No matter what, he had to tell Gong Shifan. "But there is a spy in the Spiritualist Alliance. Telling them is the same as telling the bloodthirsty forefather." Luo Tian frowned. "Who is the spy?" Yi Yu said and peeked at Zishang. It's Wang Haoqiang and Lin Yinxi. Zishang said lightly. It's them. Yi Yu cried out. He could understand that Wang Haoqiang was a spy. However, Lin Yinxi, the little beauty of the heavenly fragrance sect, was also a spy. It was unbelievable. No one would believe it. Do they have magic tools on them? And wear human skin like Xiong Yunhu? Yi Yu still felt fear when he thought of Xiong Yunhu. No, they used their real bodies to hide in the Seven-Ask Pavilion and the heavenly fragrance sect. Zishang shook his head. Then how can you be sure that they are spies from the bloodthirsty sect? Yi Yu asked doubtfully. It wasn't that he didn't believe Zishang's judgment, but he felt that being an inner disciple of a big sect was much better than being a heretic. Not to mention, Lin Yinxi was a beauty with charm and status. I naturally investigated. That Wang Haoqiang has a hobby of playing with young girls. Lin Yinxi needs the bloodthirsty sect's blood fragrance pill to maintain her beauty. Ever since Zishang found out that the Spiritualist Alliance had ill intentions towards Yi Jioga, he specially investigated and found the two hidden spies. So that's how it is. The two's hobby was indeed strange. Yi Yu finally believed it. Junichen tonight. Summon the 3 goo insects from the Spiritualist Alliance and ask them about the situation. Yi Jioga immediately paid attention to this news. Summoning 3 at once is too conspicuous. Junichen shook his head. If they wanted to ask about the situation, summoning 1 was enough. Sure, you see the situation. Yi Jioga said, and called everyone to rest. After a tiring night, if they didn't rest, it would be hard for them to deal with the upcoming battle. You're tuning in to the Li Mei's Sword of Destiny YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.